7 a.m. Time for the opening drive.
Voted the best sports show in New Mexico.
For 5 years running. It's the OD in the AM with Jeff Siembieda and JJ Buck.
Well, as we spent yesterday wondering about what does it all mean, looking at East Tennessee State, looking at UTEP. UTEP hires a new coach, and New Mexico State re-ups a contract extension and some more money for Chris Jans. A big move for Mario Mocha and the Aggies for the time being. Makes you feel a little bit better if you're an Aggie fan about Chris Jans, especially when it comes to being courted by rivals and or like schools in the business of collegiate athletics. What it do, everyone? Welcome into the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the sports animal. And as we continue to roll on, we heard from Richard Pitino yesterday about the additions to his staff. It looks like he's about done when it comes to his assistants. Dan McHale staying on as a special assistant. We saw Eric Brown getting in as well. And it's just the finalization of what we saw moving forward. JJ Buck, of course, Jeff Siembieda. As always, what it do, my man? How are you?
Good. Good. So which 1 o'clock did you jump in on yesterday? You had the 1 o'clock Aggie press conference. You had the 1 o'clock Lobo press conference, both at the same time. Which one did you do?
Yesterday, I was watching the recordings after the fact, man, with what I had going on.
Yeah, me too. I had stuff going on, too. Interesting stuff. Jans gets extended through 26-27. I mean, I don't really know what the extended means. When you look at it and you say, all right, they found a little more money for him, and it's up to about $584,000 before incentives, before bonuses. But the buyouts are really, to me, I mean, that's what means something. And it's $100,000 if he gets a job with a Power 5 school, and non-Power 5, I think is $50,000 buyout. So to me, that's really where you look at it and say, okay, what does the extension mean? You got a retention bonus that goes up $78,000. There's more money for him to work with his with his assistant coach salary pool, which I think is important. But the buyout's the same for the upcoming season. You know, $100,000 if he leaves for a Power 5 job, and $50,000 for any other coaching job. And you know, I thought, all right, every time this comes up, Chris, you know, they find a way to retain him, and I think he's earned it. Don't get me wrong. I think he's earned it to be on par, and you know, we talk market value all the time. I think Chris is a heck of a coach, but I just don't know how long they can keep doing this and how long they can keep finding resources down there.
Yeah, the private donations, it's what's being used to push up this salary base, and with the retention bonus, the incentives, and I think it pushes them closer to the fairer level, which we were talking about. And I think that's one thing Aggie fans really just wanted to see, is on par, as close as you can get to that point with your rivals, so you're not having the conversation about a UTEP or even an East Tennessee State every single year. And if you understand he makes a jump to, say, that Power 5 conference, you tip your hat, because you know it means that he is a good coach, he's been successful, and you're probably still winning at a high clip down there in Las Cruces. It was interesting, though, seeing the fact that it was already something that they kind of had in the works last year to get to this point. But, of course, everything that we saw happen needed to put things like that on the back burner. But to be in this situation moving forward, kind of refocus, get back into it, you got to feel good for Aggie fans. And, of course, Chris Jans feeling good this morning as well.
Yeah, and Mario Mocha, the athletic director, was asked during the press conference about loyalty, and you know, he talked about what that means and what is loyalty, and he said it's hard work and passion, and quote, I think Chris has displayed that in spades. I think Chris has been pretty loyal to that university, as much as any coach is going to be in a position where, you know, there's always people coming at him and having conversations. I don't feel, you know, it's a tough one because of the two schools. He hasn't talked to UNM, but he talked to UTEP, and because of what happened with Paul, the loyalty thing comes up because it is their rivals. And I don't know where you are in this. I mean, is that disloyal to listen to your main rival?
I don't think it's disloyal. I think it's part of the business. The area that always doesn't feel good, the area that people don't like to acknowledge all the time. But when you're talking about money in this game, and it does matter when you're just looking at a base salary, and in this case, potentially adding $300,000 to your base salary, even if it is your rival. It is still a team that's in a different conference. So I don't necessarily look at it too bad on Chris Jans. I think he's just doing what he had to do in a position. If any coach should just listen to your options, as part of the business side.
Yeah, I think I feel that way too. And I'll read you some. We got some stuff in yesterday afterwards on. We're having the conversation. Where does Aggie fan fall on this? How do you feel about this? And I got a little of that yesterday as well. So I'll get you there. But it's one of those things. It's uncomfortable. You feel like you're here every year, right? I mean, and I'm not sure we're done. I sure as heck don't believe that this is the last coaching job that's going to come up, and Chris's name is going to be attached to coaching jobs, not all of them, but many of them, simply because he's done a heck of a job at New Mexico State, and he's respected. And if you recall, he was on a trajectory, years ago, and had a setback. And had a head coaching job at Bowling Green, and I think he's in a better position. Like I sit here and tell you that was a good thing that happened, but if you believe things happen for a reason, for Chris's career, is his trajectory better out of New Mexico State than it might have been, out of Bowling Green, and then when that incident happened? I mean, you can make that decision. I mean, don't you think? I guess it doesn't matter where you win, right? If you win, you win. But it feels like you can have more success at New Mexico State than Bowling Green, sustained success. Is that probably? I don't know. Is that taking it too far?
I don't think it's taking it too far. I also think it's a credit to what we've seen done. And you look at Marvin Menzies and what he built up and that success, and then Chris Jans coming in and being able to build off that foundation and some of the wins that they've picked off and continuing to be right there every single year when it comes to the WAC title game in Las Vegas. So I agree with that.
Yeah. All right, 505-246-0610, 888-922-0610. Former big leaguer Dave Parker scheduled to be with us at 8 o'clock this morning to discuss his book. What else, JJ? What else does he want to talk about this morning? The Cobra is the book, and, again, the first guy in big league history to have a contract that averaged $1 million a year.
I think it's going to be interesting, a life of baseball and brotherhood, just to get into his story and what the game meant to him, probably how he sees it affecting people today, all the changes we see in baseball. You're talking about someone that, when we talk about contracts, you've brought up, Jeff, that first time when you hear Dave Parker was making $1 million, you're like, what? And just think the journey that he was on, and then all of the challenges that he went through. So it's the shared life experience, the game of baseball, and more. Dave Parker.
All right, so that's coming up at 8 o'clock. We'll catch up with Jerry Palm at 8:30, kind of put a wrap on the college football and basketball season. When we come back, pretty big news that kind of leaked out yesterday, and it probably is going to become official today in regards to the transfer portal. And for those of you who don't like it, well, then this isn't news that you're going to like, but it's going to make the transfer portal, I think, even bigger than it is now, but a win certainly for the student athletes. We'll talk about that when we come back. It's the opening drive. We're on ProView Networks and 95.9 FM and AM 610, the sports animal.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, backed by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Car Crafters is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
For your business or your home, Valley Fence stands alone. We're number 1 in New Mexico for a reason. It's the best fence you can own. Proudly serving New Mexico for over 50 years. At Valley Fence, the difference is clear. No fence too big, too small, or difficult. We handle them all at Valley Fence Company.
95.9 FM and AM 610, the sports animal.
People ask me, why do you have a landline still? This is why. It's the opening drive, Jeff Siembieda and JJ Buck. Looks like Aaron back there, radio or downtown at, what do you call their ranch? Bobcats at Radio Ranch. What do you call it? ProView Ranch, the ProView Palace? There you go. ProView Palace. You got your ProView gear on too? Look at you rocking your ProView gear. All right, everybody rocking their ProView gear. I'm doing well. It is what it is. 246-0610-888-922-0610. That's how you get in. Bobcat, everything go well yesterday? I know you had to run out. You got a big appointment. And then, did you have to do Brandon's show yesterday too?
No, I did.
All right, then. Hopefully everything went well.
Yeah, everything went well.
All right, JJ, this is coming out of the NCAA. So, and this will be big news. The Athletic reported it yesterday. It looks like they are going to not just a one-year deal, but the one-time free transfer, meaning you don't have to sit out a redshirt year in college football. The college basketball is going to happen. Evidently, it was voted on yesterday, and it leaked out that the sources that were speaking were speaking anonymously, but it sounds like this is where this is headed. I know you're a fan of this. I'm not certain that I am, but it looks like this is where this is headed.
It's going to help in the short term. It is. Try to alleviate what the heck is going on with these COVID years, the extra years the players get to stick around. But ultimately, yes, it is going to be a bit of a challenge for some, but I'm a fan of it. It is a one-time transfer rule. You transfer after this, then you got to sit unless you graduate. So it's a situation that we see it so much. And then also you wonder, how are coaches going to react? Because now you got to deal with things. Players are leaving anyway, but now you do have the benefit of the positive side of it. That if you have a player leave, well, then you can go out there and find someone else that's in the transfer portal and have them immediately eligible right away. It's going to be a little wonky the next year or two with just how big the transfer portal got. Just trying to figure out everything that has happened this past year with the extra eligibility. I think ultimately, like everything else that we do see, they'll figure it out, the coaches, the athletes in this recruiting process, and it will just be another thing we talk about as opposed to necessarily, I think, a dramatic problem with collegiate athletics.
Yeah, if you think that it's free agency now, that it's the transfer portal is busy now, it's really kind of just the start of things, because this is the word free agency is used a lot, and I know there's a lot of you who say it should be, and that's I understand it. You sit here and tell me, and you're not wrong. Coaches get to go whenever they want. We just went through what we went through with Chris Jans again. You know, coaches can leave. They recruit these players, and they get to leave, and they don't have to sit out, and they get paid, and the players are held to this, and I understand that. You know, I've told you my fear, and we'll see if it plays out over the next X number of years. But that the non-power conference schools are going to somewhat be a minor league or a feeder for San Jose State has been in some respects for power conference schools. You get a player who excels at pick your league, and it could be the Mountain West, it could be the A10, it could be the Sun Belt. How does the school keep them? And I know as fans, you want to see players stick around for a while. You want players that you identify with. You haven't had that really for a while. Really, you had one guy on this year's team that made it, right? Keith McGee started. He didn't make it through. You had McQuatch Malawatch. Free agency in college football and college basketball is really kind of the word. I don't know if it's full. You know, it's one time. And they've got 4 years to complete their 5 years to complete their 4 years of eligibility still, and they get the one free transfer. And this is where I guess it's going to come out today, JJ. So it was the NCAA Division I Council who's voted. It's a 2-day meeting. That meeting will end today, and nothing was supposed to come out, but a couple people were speaking anonymously to The Athletic and to CBS. It's been expected. And I think this is major. I think this changes the landscape of college athletics for football and basketball, as players have already been transferring. I think we've had such incredible conversations and hours of conversations in regards to the transfer portal and what it means. And for those of you who love that nostalgia of a player sitting around for 4 years, you'll get one. I think you'll get one every now. You know, there'll be a guy. This is life in college football, college basketball. Now get used to it, because this is the way it's going to be.
And I do think it's actually going to be most intriguing for mid-major basketball teams, not just because, oh, no, we're going to lose our best player. Well, guess what? You can go take the best player from Hartford, and then you got a guy. It's what happens with the high school recruits. Because outside of, say, you know, the top 100, top 150, that are still going to be going to a lot of the power conference schools of blue bloods, the recruiting aspect in, are you going to be able to maybe land a few more of these guys coming out of the high school ranks, maybe develop them for a year or two before they want to jump somewhere? So how mid-majors handle this in terms of if players do decide to take a step up, if they have an opportunity to play at a power conference school, how high school players fit into that. So I do think that it's an added challenge, and I'm not going to deny that. It's going to be something that these coaches now have to deal with, but at the same time, when you're losing players, you can still gain them immediately as well. Just add it to the list of things that college coaches have to deal with.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of, well, we're better off because you can rob Peter to pay Paul, and with all due respect, the best player at Hartford probably isn't as good as what you're losing to Arizona State. And so I don't know that that's going to make your fan feel better at this level or wherever. I guess you just got to make your program to a point where you are attractive enough to people who want to stay. And it's going to be interesting to see what, quote unquote, I use the mid-major. I mean, Gonzaga's a mid-major, right? That just played in a national championship game. I'm interested to see what non-power schools are going to be able to make themselves attractive enough that they're able to retain. And is that a Gonzaga? Yes. Is that a San Diego State? Is it a Houston? Is how many of those schools? Dayton might have been there. Can New Mexico get to that point where they're able to retain players and however many years? Look, everybody wants to go to the NBA. 60 guys a year get drafted to go to the NBA. There's a lot of different ways to go to the NBA. Now, there's the academies, there's the G League, there's overseas, and they all have freedom there. They can go where they want when they go that route. This is opening it up for the players, and I understand the concept on it, and it's going to be interesting to see. I don't know first of all, I don't know what it's going to mean if to say it's not working, right? I think that we may have a huge split. You may have power conference schools saying, "Oh yeah, it's working great," and you may have the non-power schools saying it's not working, or maybe it works. That's my hope, JJ. As much as I don't believe it's going to be good, I hope it is, but I don't think there's any going back. I think this is one of those where, okay, this is a major change in college athletics.
It is, and the thing you look at, some schools are going to lose players regardless, whether you had to redshirt or you get a free transfer. The best players leaving San Jose State because that's not a good program. But it's at the other places. What can you do to have a good atmosphere for your student athletes, to develop players and build relationships? Because it's challenging. There's always going to be something that feels enticing. We just sat here and talked about it for Chris Jans like the entire week. He's got something good going, but he's like, maybe what's happening over there? And those challenges are going to be there with coaches. Those challenges are going to be even more so now with athletes. But I believe the athletes, the coaches, they'll figure it out at times. Could it be frustrating? Sure. But if you have a solid program, you're winning, you're attractive to players, I don't think that every single mid-major team is going to lose their best player all the time. Because at some point in time, you do run out of spots still of where to go.
Yeah, so there's so much in there. All right, so how do you build a program? Right, so it's great if you are a good program and you're winning, and that's great. And so then you took a chance on a guy who had nowhere else to go, so you took him to Hartford since you like that, or let's say San Jose State, or let's just say I don't know, pick somebody in this league, who fits that bill. Utah State, Colorado State, pick one. And they had you gave them a chance out of high school. That was their place, and oh wow, we found a diamond in the rough. Gone. And I get it. I know your point is, well, that player had a chance to go better himself, and I get it. I do. How does the program get better? Just when you can't keep your players, how does the program get better?
Well, first you got to get better, because this redshirt rule has been
the chicken or the egg.
And we look at a program like New Mexico.
Yeah.
It ain't players transferring 1 year. That's been the problem. So
okay.
It's one where, like I said, I'm not just straight out dismissing it, but I do think that reality is going to hit for these guys at some point in time that there's not always a place for them to go, even with a free transfer. Just look at it this season. Like, all these guys aren't always going to find a better spot. And so I do think there's going to be a process, year or two, where everyone figures it out, the coaches, the advisors, even the athletes themselves, because you can be have a good season, and it's not like there's not always a spot at Kentucky or Duke you're jumping to. Now, is it just, hey, that's a Power 5 conference school, I'm going to go play at Vanderbilt? Like, is that going to be intriguing just because it's in the SEC?
Yes.
They don't win?
Yes, in some respects, but to your point, so it actually kind of helps my point, I think. So these guys who transferred out, and they're not, for whatever reason, I think it hurts the guys who aren't really good, because, to your point on the transfers who there's just not going to be enough room. When you're talking about bringing in high school players, right? You're talking about all the transfers. How many guys, and I don't know, I'm not looking for an exact answer, right? But won't there be a number of players who transfer and are going to get hurt by this? Because at some point, there's not going to be enough chairs. The music's going to end, and there's going to be guys standing going, oh, damn, maybe I didn't have it. I want to go back. Nope, they filled my spot. And I get it. That's the chance everybody takes. Your point's not wrong. I get it. It's better for the student athletes. I just wonder if it's going to be better for college basketball.
How many players have transferred the last 2 to 3 years when there was a redshirt rule?
A lot. Yeah. And so even more are going to transfer now. My point is, how many to your
I don't know. I guess we just have to wait and see it play out, because I just don't see in this case. Like, are a couple guys going to make that jump and be lured by it? Absolutely. But I guess to me, I have to see it first to see if it's going to destroy mid-major basketball.
All right. Well, we'll see. So you think this is good for college basketball?
I do. Look, I think it's good for teams as a whole. There are obviously challenges, but then there are players coming back the other way. How hyped are people about this Missouri offensive lineman for Lobo football that's going to get to play right away?
No, look, I've always said you like the transfer portal when it helps you, right? You do. You like the transfer portal when it helps you. And when you got guys coming back this way, you got a receiver, you got a quarterback, and you got a lineman from the SEC. 2 of the 3 would not be eligible under the previous rules. Your quarterback would be because he's a transfer, a graduate transfer, but the other 2 would have to sit out a year. No, I understand that. You love it, and you can get immediate help. We can have this conversation, 505-246-0610. Where are you on this? Because that's where the NCAA is going. It sounds like they've passed the rule. There's a one-time free transfer, and they will be able to be eligible one time before graduating. You can have that conversation coming up.
Well, trying to figure out the transfer portal, trying to figure out what the heck is going on during your week, things get busy. And you have your list of this is what I have to do. This is when I have to pick up the kids. This is when work ends. Oh, by the way, how am I going to better myself? You need to kickstart your fitness. And that ultimately can lead you to not working out at all because you just don't know how you're going to fit it in. Well, let me tell you about F45 functional training. That changes that by giving you high-intensity training in a 45-minute class. Take control of your fitness now and check out F45training.com and download the F45 app. The app has the week's schedule of classes, which workout you'll be doing. And with classes 7 days a week, you're going to be able to find a time that works for you and face a new challenge every day. And that helps out looking forward as to a difficult workout, but you know it's just not going to be the same thing over and over again. For me, I'm broadcasting games throughout the week. I'm full on dad mode for a 2-year-old until mom gets home. It gets busy. It's understandable. But the weekend classes, yes, Saturday and Sunday are clutch for me. F45 Training has certified trainers at every class to help motivate and modify. The atmosphere is great. And with that time frame being 45 minutes, there's no wasted time in the classes. Your full focus will be on getting the best out of the workout that you can in that manageable time frame. You can do it, and F45 is here for your fitness with functional full body workouts. Check them out at F45training.com. Download the F45 app to sign up for your 7-day free trial.
Hello.
Team training, life-changing. I'll see you at F45.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
DCE Systems want to help schools reopen and keep the students, teachers, and staff safe. We can also help every business reopen and keep their employees and customers safe as well. Don't just disinfect. Novalent antimicrobial technology provides ongoing residual protection against bacteria and viruses and is proven to last up to 90 days. That's right, up to 90 days. Call us today at 505-507-7722 or go to DCESystemsInc.com to learn more. DCE Systems are proud supporters of ProView Sports Network and New Mexico Youth Athletics.
A rogue virus, no jobs, sky-high tuition debt. Life is trying to put our generation on the sidelines. But we refuse to just sit back and watch it pass us by. Instead, watch us fly ahead. Watch us overcome anything. Watch us rise. Watch us change our world. Watch us become the next greatest generation.
Calling all football players, are you looking to develop your skills this season? It's never too late or too early to put in the work. Coach Carl Barrere and the Air Barrere program at 8 Grady's Performance Center provide comprehensive position training for aspiring football players at all levels. Whether you're looking to increase your speed, gain strength, or hone your skill, we train all positions with a team of experienced coaches who know what it takes to succeed at all levels from Yaffle to college. Check us out at 8gradys.com to learn more and sign up for training today.
Jackson Compaction wants to help you keep your
green.
And keep the community green as well.
Jackson Compaction has worked hard to maintain the same prices since day one. Always easy and painless trash removal with professional crews and quality service. If it's non-hazardous waste, debris, or trash on your land, leave it to us. At Jackson Compaction, we're dedicated to ensuring the conservation of our environment.
You trash it,
we smash it. Jackson Compaction, we've earned a reputation for great results.
Hi, I'm Staff Sergeant Hayes. I'm with the New Mexico Army National Guard, and I'm from Tucson, Arizona.
Hi, I'm Staff Sergeant Greg Martinez. I'm with the New Mexico Army National Guard, and I'm from Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Hi, I'm Marilena Fernandez. I'm with the New Mexico Army National Guard, and I'm from Santa Fe, New Mexico.
The New Mexico Army National Guard is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school athletics.
Next in line.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at ProView Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
At New Mexico Highlands University, you're more than a student, you're family. Whether you're taking courses in Las Vegas, Santa Fe, Rio Rancho, Albuquerque, or Farmington, you'll get that one-on-one attention to inspire you to reach your goals.
Catch Luka's act last night? Oh, damn. Watch that live, JJ. Luka Doncic, end of the game. Your boy Grayson Allen could have put it away. A 91% free throw shooter. 91%. Missed 2 free throws. Gave the ball with 1.8 seconds to go back to the Mavericks, down by 2. Inbound to Luka, off balance, flip from 3, splash, good night now.
Rumbling, bumbling, stumbling into a game-winning three-point shot. That is one, if you're Memphis, you're just like, man, defended it well, got him off balance, and he still flipped it in. Just shake your head after that.
Yeah, no, it was unbelievable. All right, Jack says you and I are like one on this issue, Jeff. To me, this isn't college sports where someone commits as a pimply-faced 17-year-old and leaves on senior night as a 22-year-old adult. This is like Albuquerque's baseball team, where someone is in the home uniform one season, the next he comes in as a Tacoma Rainier. It's from Jack. There's similarities.
There absolutely is, but guess what? A lot of you out there, you're part of this. You don't give coaches time. You don't give players time. That's not what sports is about. You like to sit there and stand on your high horse and preach, I want these guys around for 4 years. I love the stories. If the coach ain't winning yet, those players aren't doing good, you're not buying tickets. You're not liking the program anymore. So what do you want?
They want to win. They want to recognize. I'm not sure I understand the correlation.
You don't give players or coaches time to develop. 4 years,
That's probably right. Yeah, I think fans don't.
That's one development class, right? That's a freshman to a senior, and you just saw a coach for 4 years. You're like, nope, you can't do it. Prior to that, you're like, yeah, 3 or 4 years. Nope, you can't do it. So what do you want from it?
Yeah, I think that's fair. There is no patience. And by the way, to your point, you're not wrong when it comes to this in regards to you like the transfer portal when it benefits you. Like some of these guys who have left that didn't play, you're fine with. It bothers you when you lose, I don't know, a Damian Jefferson, a guy you see in the NCAA tournament, the guy you see in the Sweet 16. It bothers you then. But it sure doesn't bother you when someone comes in. When Drew Gordon came from UCLA or Danny Granger came from Bradley or J.R. Giddens came here from Kansas, you kind of liked that, didn't you? Now, if they'd have been able to play immediately, that would have been spectacular. I get the double edge on it. We'll see where it goes. I'm leery, man. I know you're not. It sounds like you think it's perfect, and I
don't think it's perfect. I don't think it's going to destroy college basketball. How many players were in the transfer portal before? And yeah, that's could a few more get in there, sure. But I need to see it destroy college basketball first, I guess, before I believe it's going to ruin
then
everything.
We'll be okay. Then when
it wasn't stopping players from leaving San Jose State. It's not going to make bad programs better if someone has to sit out a year.
How do you build a program? I know that's a
How do you do
really
it? How did you
open
try
question.
to do it before?
Well, you tried to build with freshmen and then get a sample
How's it
of
worked
transfers.
The last 8 years at UNM.
How'd that work for you? So you don't think it's
And they
going to be
were
harder, or you think it'll be easier?
I think it will be. I think there's going to be challenges, but you can fill those holes faster. And when you look at, by the way, when you look at Damian Jefferson and Ahir Uguak, they committed to play for Craig Neal. Craig Neal was fired, so those players decommitted and left. And so that's one I don't blame them, because that's one that most people always. That's the one they'd look at and go, okay, if the coach you committed to play for at university isn't there anymore. I think you build it by still attacking the high school players, bringing them in to your program, and then what we've seen before with the other transfers coming the other way, looking for an opportunity. And maybe if you lose a good player, maybe it's easier to fill that spot than having to wait and take that hit for a year.
Yeah. All right. You can get in 2460610. Arizona's got a new head coach. Gonzaga assistant, longtime assistant. Tommy Lloyd is the guy down there. I'm not going to tell you it shocked me, but I am a little surprised. I saw the Damon Stoudemire stuff, Luke Walton, who's got a job. But Lloyd is 46 years old. He's been with Mark Few for a long time. And this is a tough job because of the unknown with the NCAA issues going in there. Tommy Lloyd, much like Jerome Tang at Baylor, head assistants on the two teams who played in the national championship game. And this one's tough. This isn't a place where you go in and all you got to worry about is building a program and coaching. You've got a lot of external noise. You're going to have a lot of uncertainty coming at you, and you've got a fan base who thinks you should be in the national title game next year.
Yes, but this is an absolute home run for Arizona. They got so much better moving on from Sean Miller and bringing in Tommy Lloyd, who, by the way, doesn't have that cloud with him. Yes, he'll have things he'll have to deal with at Arizona. But you look at his international recruiting, what he did at Gonzaga. Yep. Now he gets to add to that what they've started to build over the last few years, and that is getting the high-profile high school recruits interested in that program. Are going to have that at Arizona. International players have thrived. Lauri Markkanen comes to mind over the last few years. DeAndre Ayton, now that's one where you go, oh, by the way, there might have been some issues there, which brings up that case, but players are interested in the school. I think this was best case scenario. Damon Stoudemire, Luke Walton, those ones you look at and say, cool, they're former Wildcats. Tommy Lloyd is a big time hire for this program.
All right, let's go to the phones. Wayne, you're on the Quan's Auto Care hotline. Hello, Wayne.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. I would have to say, on face value, I don't like the sound of this new temporary rule. I agree with Jeff regarding concern for it. You know, I don't like anything that makes college Division I basketball look more like NBA junior, and I hope that the rule is truly temporary and that if they're letting the genie more out of the bottle, that they're able to put the genie back in. You know, years ago when they remodeled the pit and there became boards and ads everywhere, you know, and they named the building after a company, you know, the last thing I want is to see our local college star player, you know, getting paid to be here with sponsorships. And, you know, I kind of miss the days when it was college basketball and not so much basketball college.
Yeah. I think, I mean, you're not going back, Wayne. As far as sponsorships, signs, there's got to be a way to pay for the program, and I know where you are in regards to paying and what you're paying, but the bottom line is you are paying these numbers, and so there's got to be a way to pay for it, and that's where that's coming from. I mean, you got to have sponsorships, and everything's going to have a sign on it. But it sounds like you and I are agreeing on the potential of where this goes.
Oh, 100%. So, we'll have to watch this one, but, I just really, I think that if they're selling it right now as a 1 year, adjustment, then we'll see if that's really the case. But I do think there should be some kind of a penalty or a punishment to a player that wants to transfer and just up and go, because we all want to see more stability with teams and coaches, and we'd like to see a legacy or even a dynasty built, but you can't do that when you're playing musical chairs.
All right, Wayne, appreciate it. It's not a 1 year deal. This is, JJ, this is the new rule, and I know what you're thinking, or at least I think I do. If there's got to be a penalty for the players who up and leave, should there be a penalty for the coaches?
Not necessarily, but I do say, what did you expect to happen? Like, you can't just sit there and be the NCAA and be these conferences and be like, oh, yeah, we're getting $60 million per year for our television football contract, and not expect the pressure to be on these coaches and these athletes to turn it in to
break time.
The business of collegiate athletics. You don't think that this is happening now with the redshirt rule, with players being forced out? This isn't all just on the players. A lot of it is. I'm not saying, oh, poor players. But you don't think coaches are like, yeah, we don't need you on the roster anymore? Like, there's a lot of stuff going on that it's just not always the players that can't handle everything.
And those players, and we got to take this break, but those players, because it happens every year, we don't really have room for you anymore. You're in the transfer portal. Where do they all land? And they don't all fail upward, right? They go, hopefully, to a program that's got room for them that maybe you would consider a lesser program. It's the opening drive. We're on ProView Networks at 95.9 FM at AM 610, the Sports Animal.
At New Mexico Highlands University, you're more than a student, you're family. Whether you're taking courses in Las Vegas, Santa Fe, Rio Rancho, Albuquerque, or Farmington, you'll get that one-on-one attention to inspire you to reach your goals. Let New Mexico Highlands help take your passion and accelerate it into a career and fulfilling life path. Find out why New Mexico Highlands is the right choice for you. Log on to NewMexicoHighlands.com today.
TurboThreads is a proud sponsor of ProView Networks.
Almost 30 years of experience means fast service, great prices, and a wide selection of apparel from t-shirts to performance sports shirts, even jackets and hats. They feature low minimums and no setup charges on most orders. TurboThreads is located at 1503 Golf Course Road in Rio Rancho, or find them on Facebook, online at turbothreads.com, or call 999-1234 for TurboThreads.
Plan your adventure at WNMU.edu.
Extreme Clean is a proud sponsor and supporter of ProView Networks and all high school sports athletics. Owner Mike McLean and Extreme Clean specialize in carpet cleaning for apartment, realty, business, and residential clients. With over 20 years experience, attention to detail and quality customer service matters. For more information, give them a call, 505-221-6440, Extreme Clean.
Here at Legacy, we are here to disciple people by helping them connect with God, grow in relationships, and live generously.
Datacom is the manufacturer's representative for the states of Arizona and New Mexico. Datacom represents Fuji Electric for uninterruptible power systems and Layer 0 for static switches and power distribution units. High-Tech Power Protection manufactures dynamic rotary UPS systems up to 3.6 megawatts individual and 100 megawatts by combining multiple units. Call Louis Ruffin today at 505-507-7722 or go to datacom.com to learn more.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters! It's like it never happened!
Car Crafters is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
For your business or your home, Valley Fence stands alone. We're number 1 in New Mexico for a reason. It's the best fence you can own. Proudly serving New Mexico for over 50 years. At Valley Fence, the difference is clear. No fence too big, too small, or difficult. We handle them all at Valley Fence Company.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
DCE Systems.
And 95.9 FM and AM 610, the sports animal.
Well, it's definitely a discussion of the new era of collegiate athletics. And in this regard, I can be swayed. Like, I want to listen to coaches. I want to have this conversation with coaches. What does this mean for the sport moving forward? We already saw with a redshirt season the amount of players that were transferring, but I want to have this discussion because there obviously is something there to where it can't just be maybe outside opinion or pressure that they voted to pass this rule.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't forced on them. They had the vote. They could have said yes or no, and they said yes to this.
Yeah. Do you know who comprises that committee? The Division I, whatever committee it is? Because I think the makeup of that would be interesting to know as well. Glenn says Wayne's best call ever, Jeff. I think this is really going to hurt the chances of coaches giving opportunities to marginal local players. They're going to need to keep that scholarship in their back pocket at all times in case a star ends up at the transfer portal and becomes eligible immediately. It's interesting. So the late transfer is going to be interesting, right? There's always a guy summer. I see your face like you don't understand that. I'm not sure I totally do either. Guy comes available in July. Okay. Usually your roster's set. I guess roster construction just won't be set until basically the week before classes start, right?
Yeah, no, they're trying to put a date on it. So if you leave after July, then you're going to have to sit that time wherever you leave because they're saying July 1st.
Yep.
You're free if you announce by July 1st. So they're trying to put some, at least, marks on it of what the calendar should look like.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes. It's going to be interesting. All right, 505-246-0610. If you want to get in on that, you're welcome to, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. 888-922-0610. Emails, Jeff at sportsanimalabq.com, JJ at sportsanimalabq.com. Julian Edelman equals Bobcat. All right. Jeff, with the talking heads speculating if at the end of the day we see a wide receiver in Tampa Bay, I'm wondering if I wake up one morning and hear the big voice guys saying this award-winning OD with Jeff Siembieda, J.J. Buck, and from the House of Strauss, Bobcat.
I'd go for that.
All right. Look at you. All right. Was there drama yesterday on the afternoon show? Did you do Brandon's show yesterday?
No, I did not. You referenced it earlier this hour. I went and got my second COVID shot. Everything is basically just fine.
You feel all right?
Yeah, a little muscle soreness, a little tiredness. Instead of doing Uber Eats or DoorDash this afternoon, I think I'll just go home and nap.
Sweet.
Napping is great, you know.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the nap.
Napping is a tradition unlike any other.
That's true.
Yeah. All right, because Ren said last night on the Big Stick during Votes Notes segment, Bobcat juggling two major Cumulus shows was discussed. So you were a topic, I guess. Also mentioned was Tuesday's sour OD reaction to Eric Strauss vacating his house for an entire weekend just to celebrate the big day.
Well, he's
or
the
his
big
birthday.
Guy. Yeah, the big guys get to do that.
Is he the big guy?
Well, as far as the show goes.
Well, as far as he's concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as he's concerned, he's the big guy. But is he the big guy?
Well, for the House of Strauss, he's the big guy. It's just him and me. Somebody has to, steer the ship. He's it. So.
All right. I got JJ. I got the makeup of that Division I council. It's a board of directors, 40 members, a representative from each of the 32 Division I conferences, 4 commissioners, 2 student athletes, and 2 faculty athletics representatives. So, I mean, I've got the makeup and who's on here, and I could tell you. I mean, you don't need to listen to the 40 names who are on here, but I mean, it's pretty representative from Montana to the Missouri Valley Football Conference to the Patriot League to the University of Delaware to the University of Nevada, Reno. Doug Knuth represents the Mountain West on this. So that's how it's comprised. That's who's making that's where this got through. I'm interested to hear AD and coach reaction on this and what the thought is, because to your point, there's got to be a lot of good to this if they're passing it and it's going forward. And I don't think anybody can talk today probably because it's just a report and it hasn't officially come out yet. So probably tomorrow. But yeah, to your point, there's if they're voting for this, there's got to be advantages to the well-being of the sport, right? Not just for one side of this, but for the well-being of the game.
Yeah, and that's what I'm waiting for next is the coaches' conversations, the assistants, the head coaches that are dealing with this day in and day out, what it means, how it's going to affect them. I'm open to listen. Like I think this will ultimately be fine as collegiate athletics continues to navigate, but you can't, you got to adjust. Like, you can't be living in this world back in the day where billions of dollars weren't on the line. Like collegiate athletics exploded, and yes, you need money to pay for scholarships. You need monies to run your university, so that's going to adjust what you grew up liking. That's going to adjust a lot of the traditions, the things that you have set in stone about what a collegiate athlete should be. Is it destroying college athletics? I don't think so. Has it made things challenging? Has it adjusted? Yes. But guess what? If you're winning, then you don't think it's broken. But that's always the challenge. Whether your player has to sit out a year or not is how to put together a winning program in collegiate athletics.
Yeah, and if you're not winning, I mean, does that? How do you unbreak it, right? How do you do what they're doing? How do I get to that point? I want to be like them. How do I get there? And is the system set up for me to get there? And does this help more? I mean, it's going to be curious. All right, we're talking baseball when we come back. Those of a certain era will remember this guy. He was one of the best. I mean, he really was one of the best. 2-time batting champion, 7-time All-Star. They called him a Cobra. Dave Parker. He's got a book out, Cobra, A Life of Baseball and Brotherhood. He's going to join us when we come back on the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 670 Sports Animal.
DCE Systems want to help schools reopen and keep the students, teachers, and staff safe. We can also help every business reopen and keep their employees and customers safe as well. Don't just disinfect. Novalent antimicrobial technology provides ongoing residual protection against bacteria and viruses and is proven to last up to 90 days. That's right, up to 90 days. Call us today at 505-507-7722 or go to DCESystemsInc.com to learn more. DCE Systems are proud supporters of ProView Sports Network and New Mexico Youth Athletics.
A rogue virus, no jobs, sky-high tuition debt. Life is trying to put our generation on the sidelines. But we refuse to just sit back and watch it pass us by. Instead, watch us fly ahead. Watch us overcome anything. Watch us rise. Watch us change our world. Watch us become the next greatest generation.
Calling all football players, are you looking to develop your skills this season? It's never too late or too early to put in the work. Coach Carl Barrere and the Air Barrere program at 8 Grady's Performance Center provide comprehensive position training for aspiring football players at all levels. Whether you're looking to increase your speed, gain strength, or hone your skill, we train all positions with a team of experienced coaches who know what it takes to succeed at all levels from Yaffle to college. Check us out at 8gradys.com to learn more and sign up for training today.
Jackson Compaction wants to help you keep your green and keep the community green as well. Jackson Compaction has worked hard to maintain the same prices since day one. Always easy and painless trash removal with professional crews and quality service. If it's non-hazardous waste, debris, or trash on your land, leave it to us. At Jackson Compaction, we're dedicated to ensuring the conservation of our environment. You trash it, we smash it. Jackson Compaction, we've earned a reputation for great results.
Hi, I'm Staff Sergeant Hayes. I'm with the New Mexico Army National Guard, and I'm from Tucson, Arizona.
Hi, I'm Staff Sergeant Greg Martinez. I'm with the New Mexico Army National Guard, and I'm from Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Hi, I'm Marilena Fernandez. I'm with the New Mexico Army National Guard, and I'm from Santa Fe, New Mexico.
The New Mexico Army National Guard is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school athletics.
Next in line.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Sadie's is a
For
proud supporter
5 years running. Don't sweat the technique. This is the opening drive with 2-time New Mexico Sportscaster of the Year, Jeff Siembieda, and JJ Bach. Don't sweat the technique.
Well, for people, baseball fans of a certain generation, and certainly mine, our next guest was one of the best, and this is going to be a treat. Dave Parker was one of the best players of his era. He won 2 World Series championships with the 79 Pirates, the 89 A's, a 7-time All-Star, 2-time batting champion, was the National League Most Valuable Player in 1978. It's the opening drive. Jeff Siembieda and J.J. Buck. Dave Parker, the Cobra, big, power-hitting, right fielder with a gun of an arm, played on some great teams. And his book is out, Cobra, A Life of Baseball and Brotherhood. And Dave Parker's a name that I bring up often when we talk about salaries in Major League Baseball. Dave Parker joins us on the opening drive this morning. Dave, it's a pleasure to have you. Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Dave, your name comes up a lot, and I want to get into the book, and I know this is addressed. And I bring up your name. I'm older than JJ, and I remember the day when I was young, and wow, a man is making $1 million a year to play baseball, and it was mind-boggling to me. $1 million a year. And now, if you're making $1 million a year, you're probably sweeping the dugout and washing the uniforms. What do you make of the way salaries have just soared and your part in the history of that?
It's whatever the market can bear for the players. I think that they're pricing baseball now at a level that it's hard to believe. It's like the $1 million+ is like pocket change now. These guys are making incredible money, and ownership is raising it higher every day.
Yeah, you almost had to defend yourself, didn't you? Back in the day, I think it was 78-ish, when you got that 5-year, $5 million contract, and people were losing their minds. And to your point, I use that term all the time. It's market value, whatever the market will bear. But you kind of had to defend yourself at that point for making that much money, didn't you?
Yes, it was crazy, but being the first, you pay a price for being the first, and I was the first, and I paid a price. People turned their back on me, booed me, threw stuff at me, and I was having productive years. And when I first signed the contract, I won the MVP, 2 batting titles, and the MVP of the All-Star game all in 1 year, and took them to the World Series the next year. How could you be mad at that?
I always ask that question. Would it have been better if you were only making $998,000 a year instead of $1 million? Do you think it would have been different?
No, I don't think it would have been different. It would have been the same.
You're probably right.
Because some of it was racially motivated, and that was one of the problems.
Dave, when you look at this process of writing this book with Dave Jordan, you're going back through the stories. I'm sure there's a lot of positive, but then there's also the struggles and those times that you went through. What was it like bringing these back to life and putting all this down in this book for you?
Well, it was nice just to rehash it, relive it, and to do the research was fun. You sit down and you mean talking about something that happened in '79, and it brings a smile to your face. So it was fun to do the book, and I thought it was about time to do it. I mean, it was like almost 30 years to even get it in position to write. So it was a thrill doing it with Dave.
And when you look at what this story means to people that watched you play, but then others like me, as I started reading this book, of course, I know Dave Parker, the baseball player, but I didn't get a chance to see you live. So when you look at the younger generation, what do you hope people like me, the younger fans of the game, get out of reading this story of you and what baseball meant to you?
Well, I mean, it's all about it's about the brotherhood, establishing relationships, maintaining friendships for life, doing and beyond your playing years. So I had all that in mind when I was doing this book. It was important to me to display the relationships.
You know, Dave, you say brotherhood, and I think back to the We Are Family Pirates, and you hear the song. It's an old 70s song by Sister Sledge, We Are Family, and I think probably more people associate that with the Pirates team than anything else, and you say brotherhood. What was special about that group? Every team talks about we're family. That was the theme around that team. That was different. And was that the best or worst dressed team in the history of Major League Baseball?
It was great to be on that team. We had ball players that was flashy, flamboyant, and talented. We were good. And we didn't mind displaying our wares. We used to have 12 different uniforms that we could wear. We mix and match. You know, that was unique in itself. We had about 17 people of color on our roster, and that made us real unique. So that Pirate team is something that probably never be assembled again, because we was the first to play 9 people of color, and we had the talent to be flashy enough to attract people to the Pirates. We were great.
You were great. No, there's no doubt that you were great. You had a relationship, and I'm going to assume still do, with Pete Rose, and you considered him a friend, and you talk about it in the book. Where are you with Pete, the all-time hit leader? I think he just turned 80 yesterday or 2 days ago. Still not in the Hall of Fame. And you watch what's gone on over the years. Where are you on the position that Major League Baseball is still keeping Pete out of the Hall of Fame and out of baseball?
Well, Pete should be in baseball from what he's done. I mean, he's a hit king, for God's sake. I mean, what else you want from the man? But Pete dealt with that Rule 21, and that's a cardinal sin. That's like Adam and Eve and the apple. You don't mess with that.
That was the gambling rule, and that's what's kept Pete on the shelf. Dave Parker, the former National League MVP, 2-time World Series champion, and 7-time All-Star, is with us for a few more minutes on the opening drive.
Well, Dave, when people think about you now, the Cobra, what you did in the game of baseball, how you helped advance the game of baseball forward. As a kid in Cincinnati, it sounded like you were a football guy. So when did baseball become a part of your life and something you realized that, yeah, my talent translates to this game?
Well, I always loved football. I was a very physical kid. I played tailback, and I was a linebacker on defense, and I was very physical. Football was my first love. And I tore my knee up my senior year, the first play of the game. I was running a sweep to the right, and had to reverse field, and the guy had an angle on me, and he got my knee. And that changed my whole life, you know, because that plan to be a football player was out the window. I had torn my left cartilage in 5 places and tried to play basketball. And that was a mistake, because I tore it in 2 more places after that. So I was out of football. So I chose my second sport, and that was baseball.
Worked out pretty well for you. And again, with all the accolades and stuff that they'll never take from you, and the brotherhood, and that's what the book is about. Here, I want to ask you about just what's happened over the years in with the steroid era. Like you haven't hid from your drug issues. You discussed it in the book, which is out right now. Again, it's Cobra Baseball and Brotherhood. Dave Parker, how do you feel the steroid era, and I think it's so loosely defined. Whenever it started, whenever it ended, and players, whether it's Bonds and Sosa, McGuire, or everybody that was involved. What did you think of the whole era? Did you feel that baseball? Because I feel baseball allowed that to happen, benefited from it to happen, and now there's people who are trying to penalize the players who took part in it. And I sit here and say, gosh, I can't tell you if I was in that locker room, I wouldn't have done it. Where are you in regards to that whole era of baseball?
Well, baseball benefited from it. So why punish the guys that participated in benefiting baseball? I mean, but the steroid era was one that it didn't take no rocket scientists to figure out ain't no man gonna hit a ball that far without something aiding him. And when I saw McGuire hit a ball when I went from Cincinnati to Oakland, he would compress the ball to half the size at the point of contact and would hit the ball 2,000, 3,000 feet. I mean, it didn't take no rocket scientist to figure out that there's something going on here. Jose was the same way. Sammy went from 178 pounds to 230. It was something that baseball benefited from it. They shouldn't penalize the guys. They should put them in the hall.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, David. In large respect, they want to be like you. There was guys like you, maybe Jim Rice. Baseball players weren't built like you, and you talked about your football background. Guys weren't 6'5" and weighed what you did and hit the ball like you, and were as mobile as you were, as fast. You had an unbelievable arm. I remember back in that era, I always thought you and Dwight Evans of the Red Sox are the best arms in baseball as right fielders. Baseball players weren't built like you. Like when you look back at it, you really not just changed the game because you were the first guy to make $1 million a year, but you were the first who had great success that didn't look like the quintessential 5'10" to 6'1", 180 to 200 pound baseball player.
Yeah, I mean, Winfield changed the game.
Yeah, Dave Winfield.
Outfielders. Winfield was like 6'6", ran good, had a great arm, could pitch, could play basketball. Winfield was one of the guys that changed the outfield play. They started looking for guys 6'5", and Winfield and I changed it.
No doubt. And he played basketball at the University of Minnesota, another multi-sport guy. Just a minute or so more with Dave. You're going to wrap it? All right, Dave. Hey, I appreciate it. People, if you're interested in the book, it's called Cobra, A Life of Baseball and Brotherhood. It's available in hardback wherever it is that you get your books, whether it's Amazon or your bookstore or wherever. But it's a #1 new release. It's co-authored by Dave Parker and Dave Jordan. Dave, I really appreciate the conversation. Was looking forward to this, and like I said, your name comes up on our show for me so often when we discuss salaries, and it's a pleasure to have this conversation with you. Best to you. Be well. Appreciate the time.
My pleasure. The book can be picked up. It can be picked up on my foundation, Dave Parker 39 Foundation. It's at Amazon, Walmart, Barnes and Noble. So Beautiful. It's a good read. So get out and buy a book.
Yep, no, buy the book, and it's a great read. Dave, be well. Best to you. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Dave Parker, the Cobra. I enjoyed that. I don't know how much you did, but thanks for setting that up. That was awesome.
Well, it's a reminder of what these guys do give to the game, and you hear about $1 million, and at the time it's like, oh, how can an athlete, how could someone playing a sport be making this? But then you touched on it, the challenge that he faced, and a lot of people are like, oh, black baseball player making this money, no, that can't be. And then his struggles, everything that these guys give to the sport, it ultimately takes something away from them, and to manage the expectations, to put your body in place. He dealt with the issues when he started taking the pain medication. It got out of control, and just ultimately everything that his story entails. And I'm looking forward to continuing to dive into this book because it is, it's a name you hear, but for this generation, it is absolutely an important name in the process of where athletes are today.
Look, in the 70s, 74, Hank Aaron breaks Babe Ruth's record. Then Dave Parker in 78 becomes the first $1 million a year player. Two black athletes taking over a game in a time in our country, and I say that like when was it a time in our country where race was magnified, and he talked about the price he paid. I want to get more into it when we come back. 505-246-0610 if you would like to get into it. Who's watching your home? I hope it's the good guys at IPS. If you signed up for a home or business security with a local company who promised armed response, that security company very well may have been bought and sold twice, and now your security's in the hands of a company from Texas, not what you signed up for. But if you make the switch to International Protective Service, IPS, you can have what it is you want, and it's going to be even better. Aaron Jones is the owner of IPS. He's from Albuquerque. He's not going anywhere. He's passionate about providing protection for your home, your family, your business that you've worked hard to build. IPS has highly trained armed guards. They watch what's important to you when you can't be there. 24-hour patrols, armed officers who usually respond to an alarm within 5 to 7 minutes. Trust your protection to a local company who is passionate about making our city a safer place to live and work. It's International Protective Service. Call IPS at 505-897-2420, 505-897-2420, or visit them at ipsglobal.com.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at ProView Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
At New Mexico Highlands University, you're more than a student, you're family. Whether you're taking courses in Las Vegas, Santa Fe, Rio Rancho, Albuquerque, or Farmington, you'll get that one-on-one attention to inspire you to reach your goals. Let New Mexico Highlands help take your passion and accelerate it into a career and fulfilling life path. Find out why New Mexico Highlands is the right choice for you. Log on to NewMexicoHighlands.com today.
TurboThreads is a proud sponsor of ProView Networks.
Almost 30 years of experience means fast service, great prices, and a wide selection of apparel from t-shirts to performance sport shirts, even jackets and hats. They feature low minimums and no setup charges on most orders. TurboThreads is located at 1503 Golf Course Road in Rio Rancho, or find them on Facebook, online at turbothreads.com, or call 999-1234 for TurboThreads.
Plan your adventure at WNMU.edu.
Extreme Clean is a proud sponsor and supporter of ProView Networks and all high school sports athletics. Owner Mike McLean and Extreme Clean specialize in carpet cleaning for apartment, realty, business, and residential clients. With over 20 years experience, attention to detail and quality customer service matters. For more information, give them a call, 505-221-6440, Extreme Clean.
Here at Legacy, we are here to disciple people by helping them connect with God, grow in relationships, and live generously.
Datacom is the manufacturer's representative for the states of Arizona and New Mexico. Datacom represents Fuji Electric for uninterruptible power systems and Layer Zero for static switches and power distribution units. High-Tech Power Protection manufactures dynamic rotary UPS systems up to 3.6 megawatts, individual and 100 megawatts by combining multiple units. Call Louis Ruffin today at 505-507-7722 or go to datacom.com to learn more.
You know, baseball's such a romanticized game, especially for people of my age. Bob, I don't know, were you a baseball fan growing up?
A
Baseball
little
do
bit,
it for you?
yeah. A little bit. I mean, the pickup game down in the park and that.
Sure.
It was always fun, but there's a reason my name is on my shirt. I can't. I cannot remember things very well, so. The different names in that at the moment, let's go. And it's just I'm just a lost cause.
It's a good thing you can spell your name forward and backwards the same way. B-O-B. Bob.
That's right. I am so lucky.
Yeah, you are lucky that way.
Okay.
Baseball is one of those games, and some of the old school guys, that we are family. And I know 1979 seems like forever ago, and in large respect it was. It was 42 years ago. But that we are family Pirates team with Manny Sanguillen and Willie Stargell and Dave Parker was on that team, and I think Bill Madlock was the third baseman, and Phil Garner I think was on that team. It was just a great Omar Moreno center field. That was a romanticized team, and he talked about it. He said it'll never be like that again. And I would have loved to get into more, JJ, when he said a team like that will never be assembled again. I know it's before your time. That was the most colorful World Series ever. The Orioles in their bright orange and black uniforms, and the Pirates in their yellows and it was beautiful. They were the Oregon Ducks before the Oregon Ducks. 12 different uniform combos, right?
Yeah, those are always ones for sure. If you're watching some throwback, like, oh, that's the Pirates. Oh, you can immediately tell the jerseys. But I do think, though, they had a 2000s like team back in that era. And you talk about assembling the talents. I look at the what we've seen maybe out of like a Fernando Tatis or a team like the San Diego Padres that kind of has that flair, that flashiness like that. You don't do that. You can't do this in sport. So there were a lot of things that Dave Parker was a part of, the teams here on, that might not have translated well then, but would absolutely fit in 100% to what we see today.
Now they were. I mean, the Manny Sanguillens and the Willie Stargells and just the guys on that team. To his point, I mean, it was a team of characters. But and he says we were good. They were really good. Omar Moreno, Bill Robinson played second. Rennie Stennett was on that team. He played second base. Bill Robinson played left. Phil Garner was on that team. Bert Blyleven was one of the pitchers on that team. Tim Foley was on that team. I mean. They were really, really, really good. Chuck Tanner was the manager, and exciting. But I don't want to lose the fact when he said, I paid the price. And I was going to ask him, what's the price? And he says, he got into it before. He says, the verbal abuse, people throwing stuff at me, and a lot of it was racially motivated. JJ, Hank Aaron went through the same thing. And that was 4 years earlier when he broke the most beloved sports record in our society. Babe Ruth's record was the number, and a black man broke that record. And then when Dave Parker became the first guy to make $1 million to play a sport, to play baseball, for crying out loud, how can that be? And you look back in history, really defines things so well. It doesn't surprise you, it disgusts you, and you say, gosh, have we gotten better since then, right? 42, 43 years later, are we better than that? Oh no, are we? Race relations. I mean, if there was, I think if we are to the point where whatever the next threshold is, was Fernando Tatis making $30 million a year? If a person of color becomes the first $50 million a year, it's not. He's not going to get beat up for being racial. It's not going to be a racial thing. I think people are still going to lose their mind a little bit just because of the number, but. Back in that day, I can only imagine what he went through, and he talks about it in the book.
Yeah, and as I continue to read it, it is a fascinating story because that's what I love the sport itself, but I love the people, the stories behind it, how we get to what we see today, the steps that players took. And a lot of times, people get upset with player empowerment in free agency, this or that. Well, players used to not have like anything, and it was always just owners, this or that. And so I think ultimately we're getting to a point overall now, as we always try to separate, of course, collegiate athletics and pro sports, or there's a reason things are here, that there's free agency. You can earn X amount of money based on the business model that you are partaking in. So I think it's going to be a fascinating read, and especially for baseball fans looking at what Dave Parker meant to the game, the teams he was on. Absolutely.
Baseball players used to have a second job, third job in the off season. They used to go to work off season, then they'd have to go. You hear it all the time. I work for my dad's meat packing factory. I move furniture. Whatever, because they were, they were paid like normal human beings, and when they didn't work, they weren't getting paid. Now they're getting paid where they are, and they get the off season to work on their craft. All right, Jerry Palm's going to be with us when we come back. Interested to what he thinks in the one-time transfer rule. Talk to him about the coaching moves and kind of wrap up our weekly conversations with Jerry Palm when we come back. It's the opening drive. Jeff Siembieda and J.J. Buck. Aaron's producing on ProView Networks, and Bobcats got you on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Played, top of the 18. Morgan's there, one-on-one with the keeper, and that opens the scoring. Rachel Morgan, the senior, finds the back of the net, and it's 1-0 St. Mike's.
Oliveris for 3, yes.
Well, I like that young man.
Good transition opportunity for the Bulldogs. Deep three's up, and it's good by number 11, Annika Reed.
Rowe gets it, boots it forward. Myers is there, she's able to head it, and she controls. Dugan's there, she's at the center, gets across, shoots, and scores! Hello! What can you say there? Hello! And that is Alexa Duggan, who goes across the body.
There. Gonzalez going to get all the way to the basket here off the window with the extra kiss, and it's good for Gonzalez.
That ball played to the top of the 18. Morgan. Nice turn. Morgan, left-footed shot. Morgan! 3-0. And that is a brace for Rachel Morgan, the senior from St. Michael's.
Underneath for Alter, tries the slam and does it. So in two... comes the pressure. Hasbury takes it away and sends it in.
Well, there's a top 10 play right there, I can tell you that.
The last-ditch effort for the Wildcats. They are cornered right now. That ball goal! It's the long goal from Contreras! Holy cow! Luke Contreras absolutely launched that ball. Contreras
Kumar takes the shot, and that is it. We didn't make it an entire minute into this overtime before Oliver Kumar delivered the winning score. Look at those boys celebrate down there, dogpiling on top of numbers.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier order.
Well, we didn't have one. So, hey, I want to start with the legislation. JJ and I are having a conversation, and we see it differently. The report that came out that the one-time free transfer rule is going to happen. Good for college basketball, or we could say basketball, football. Good, bad, better for the athletes than the schools. How do you view it?
Yeah, I would say better for the athletes and the schools. It makes roster management harder on the coaches and stuff like that because you don't really know, right? It's almost like that this year, really. You know, you've got a transfer portal with, 1,200 kids in it? That's the last number I saw. That might be a week old. And that's, everybody's got a free year of eligibility, and now you're going to give them a one-time transfer, where you don't have to sit out. I think you'll see a lot of kids take advantage of it. It's going to be an adjustment period for the coaches to try and figure out roster management. It already is in that because for the next 4 years, everybody who played this year has that free year that they can take, at the end of what would be their senior year. And that'll obviously, I don't think too many players are going to do that, by the way. I think most players will, by the time they're done with 4 years of college basketball or 5, they're going to be ready to move on with their lives. But anyways, it's going to be a period of adjustment for the coaches, but it's definitely better for the athletes. And in a system where better for the athletes doesn't happen very often,
right.
I think that it's a good thing.
So my concern is the non-power schools become a feeder system for the power school. You get a really good player.
It definitely affects them the most. I agree because they're in the middle. So and even with the free year for COVID, the power schools and the middle, beyond that, below the power schools in both football and basketball, that group is in the middle because you're going to have a lot of players looking to transfer up to try and play at a higher level, and you're going to have a lot of players looking to transfer down for playing time. So, yeah, the non-majors in both sports are definitely going to be most affected by this.
Jerry Palm, CBSSports.com, is with us.
Well, Jerry, a lot of this is collegiate athletics, just trying to manage the landscape of the game that we have today, the big business of collegiate athletics. And there's always going to be challenges, whether it's the transfer rule that we see here, name, image, and likeness legislation that states are enacting, but the NCAA is still trying to figure out kind of what are the next
and the
steps.
federal government's involved as well.
Yeah, with what we saw in the Supreme Court hearing, kind of what are the next steps for the NCAA to just figure out what's next for the future of all sports?
Well, the biggest problem the NCAA has is that they move at the slowest pace of probably any organization anywhere. That they just don't function well in terms of trying to be nimble. They just can't do it. So they've been trying to do name, image, and likeness, and it's taken them so long to do it that governments got involved, and they don't know how to react. So, I mean, the single biggest change the NCAA needs is to change their structure to be more nimble, to be able to react to whatever's going on in the landscape of college sports or anything that's in their purview. They need to be able to react to things in less than 10 years, and they just don't. I mean, even enforcement takes forever. So that's their biggest problem. And it's a problem with this issue, and it's a problem with every issue that comes up, is that the NCAA cannot react quickly enough to changing landscapes.
And, Jerry, on that issue of enforcement, we kind of saw Bill Self sign those 5-year contracts for as long as he wants to be at Kansas.
Lifetime
now, Sean Miller,
contract, really,
right?
Yep.
That kind of regenerates every 5 years. Oklahoma State, they got Cade Cunningham. Like, actually, we want to go to the NCAA tournament this year. What do you just see happening specifically with some of the programs that have been at the forefront?
Well, yeah, in Arizona, right? So Bill Self gets a lifetime contract, and Sean Miller gets fired for basically the same thing. So Kansas is going out on a limb to protect their coach to the point where the contract says he cannot be fired for whatever comes from the NCAA enforcement rulings, which may happen during that lifetime contract. And Sean Miller got fired for that, which, of course, is a matter of Sean Miller not winning enough and Bill Self winning a lot, and that's why the schools reacted differently. But I don't know what to tell you. I mean, Oklahoma State's probably going to have to serve their 1-year ban eventually. We may not be around to see it. But it certainly, wasn't this year. I'm not sure it'll even be next year. And, Arizona's going to get the book thrown at them, and Kansas is going to get the book thrown at them. And the new coach at Arizona, the assistant from Gonzaga,
Tommy Lloyd,
is going to have. They're going to have to be patient with him because he's going to probably eventually be dealing with a shorthanded deck.
We were just having a conversation about Tommy Lloyd, who was kind of the coach and waiting for Mark Few, but he would have been waiting for another decade and a half, it feels like. So he goes down to Arizona, which feels like, historically is a really, really good job, but he's walking into the incredible uncertainty of what's coming from the NCAA. He's walking into a fan base who feels they should be in the Final Four every year. That job for a first-time head coach is a tough gig.
It is a tough gig. He probably won't have as much of a honeymoon period as he probably needs with the fan base. And he's going to need the administration to really, stand up for him at times. But we'll see, how it goes. He's obviously a very well-respected coach. So, we'll see how he can recruit into that situation and then what he can do. That's a very interesting situation to watch going forward for the next few years.
Jerry Palm, CBSSports.com, with us for a few more minutes. We just went through, UTEP went through a coaching search. Joe Golding from Abilene Christian got that job. Chris Jans, the New Mexico State coach, was one of the 5 finalists. I don't know if we've had the conversation with you about Richard Pitino either. What was your thought when Richard Pitino was out of work for 12 hours and got the job at New Mexico?
Yeah, I was surprised by how quickly he was hired. I don't know. I thought Rich did a reasonable job at Minnesota. That's not the easiest job in the world, and he had them pretty competitive. For whatever reason, Minnesota wanted to make a change, and he'd been recruiting, pretty well too. So maybe that was the problem, was that he wasn't getting as much out of it as the recruiting might have indicated. But I thought Richie did a nice job at Minnesota, and has a chance to be successful at New Mexico as well. It was surprising to me how fast that went. Like New Mexico must have been anticipating that. I mean, that's not a big surprise.
Right.
He'd been in the rumor mill in terms of being let go of Minnesota, toward the end of the season. So it's not. I'm sure nobody was surprised that he was available. But man, Minnesota, to get that thing done in 12 hours, it almost makes you wonder if they were working on it before he even got fired.
There was a time the Mountain West was a lot of big name coaches that had been at power conferences, whether it was, Steve Alford, Steve Fisher, Lon Kruger for a while. Now it's Steve Alford, it's Richard Pitino, it's Tim Miles, Brian Dutcher's been there forever. That's how this league kind of really built itself, or I don't know if that's how. When this league built itself, it was going that direction. Good year for the Mountain West. Do you feel that league can continue on an upward trend? And how important are the coaches that have come in and are in this league?
Well, coaching's always important, right? I mean, there's no solution to getting better players and coaching them up, right? So it starts with getting better players, and the league has been getting some better players. And now you've got some pretty good coaches in this league and experienced coaches in this league that have the ability to coach them up. So I think it's got a chance to be a more competitive league. It's always been that way, and it's had a little bit of a lull, and now maybe it's starting to trend back up to where, multiple bids in the NCAA tournament is a regular thing instead of, wondering.
All right, Jerry. Hey, so is this the time of year where we say we'll talk to you football season? I've appreciated so much these Thursday conversations, and you and I, JJ was with us back when we were at the old other radio station doing it in the afternoon, and you had your own website. I know our listeners just really, really appreciate the time that you spend with us and the content and the insight from football season all the way through. And I can't thank you enough for the time and the insight that you've delivered to our listeners in Albuquerque. And it's usually about now where I go through the closet and let's see what I can put together as far as a goodie bag. and I say thanks, and we'll reconvene right around football season.
Sounds good. I'll talk to you anytime.
All right. Well, we'll reach out intermittently throughout the summer,
okay.
But and restart again in football. But just for JJ and me and all our listeners, we appreciate the time that you spend with our listeners here in Albuquerque. And I'll be in touch with you soon. But keep listening and keep reading what Jerry writes at CBSSports.com and follow him. It's on the Twitter at JPPalmCBS. Jerry, be well.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks.
All right, take care. Jerry Palm. Now I got to go through the closet, JJ. We don't have a bunch of new stuff from the New Mexico Bowl. Usually I put together a nice care pack for him, and I don't know what I got. I got to go find some
You know
stuff.
what you got, Jeff? You got some vintage gear coming his way. A nice little throwback New Mexico Bowl from the start to new era. A little bit of everything.
All right, we'll find something. 505-246-0610. Come on in. It's the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Okay, you're clear for 6 minutes.
Walk to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff. One scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough. Back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot. It's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Car Crafters is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
For your business or your home, Valley Fence stands alone. We're number one in New Mexico for a reason. It's the best fence you can own. Proudly serving New Mexico for over 50 years. At Valley Fence, the difference is clear. No fence too big, too small, or difficult. We handle them all at
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
DCE Systems want to help schools reopen and keep the students, teachers, and staff safe. We can also help every business reopen and keep their employees and customers safe as well. Don't just disinfect. Novalent antimicrobial technology provides ongoing residual protection against bacteria and viruses and is proven to last up to 90 days. That's right, up to 90 days. Call us today at 505-507-7722 or go to DCESystemsInc.com to learn more. DCE Systems are proud supporters of ProView Sports Network and New Mexico Youth Athletics.
A rogue virus, no jobs, sky-high tuition debt. Life is trying to put our generation on the sidelines. But we refuse to just sit back and watch it pass us by. Instead, watch us fly ahead. Watch us overcome anything. Watch us rise. Watch us change our world. Watch us become the next greatest generation.
Calling all football players, are you looking to develop your skills this season? It's never too late or too early to put in the work. Coach Carl Barrere and the Air Barrere program at 8 Grady's Performance Center provide comprehensive position training for aspiring football players at all levels. Whether you're looking to increase your speed, gain strength, or hone your skill, we train all positions with a team of experienced coaches who know what it takes to succeed at all levels from Yaffle to college. Check us out at 8gradys.com to learn more and sign up for training today.
Jackson Compaction wants to help you keep your green and keep the community green as well. Jackson Compaction has worked hard to maintain the same prices since day one. Always easy and painless trash removal with professional crews and quality service. If it's non-hazardous waste, debris, or trash on your land, leave it to us. At Jackson Compaction, we're dedicated to ensuring the conservation of our environment. You trash it, we smash it. Jackson Compaction, we've earned a reputation for great results.
Hi, I'm Staff Sergeant Hayes. I'm with the New Mexico Army National Guard, and I'm from Tucson, Arizona.
Hi, I'm Staff Sergeant Greg Martinez. I'm with the New Mexico Army National Guard, and I'm from Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Hi, I'm Marilena Fernandez. I'm with the New Mexico Army National Guard, and I'm from Santa Fe, New Mexico.
The New Mexico Army National Guard is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school athletics.
Played, top of the 18. Morgan's there, one-on-one with the keeper, and that opens the scoring. Rachel Morgan, the senior, finds the back of the net, and it's 1-0 St. Mike's.
Oliveris for 3. Yes.
Well, I like that young man.
Good transition opportunity for the Bulldogs. Deep three's up, and it's good by number 11, Annika Reed.
Rowe gets it, boots it forward. Myers is there, she's able to head it, and she controls. Dugan's there, she's at the center. She gets across, shoots, and scores! Hello! What can you say there? Hello! And that is Alexa Duggan, who goes across the body.
There. Gonzalez going to get all the way to the basket here off the window with the extra kiss, and it's good for Gonzalez.
That ball played
Well, Sister Sledge, we are family, you know, like Dave Parker. That doesn't matter. All right, 246-0610, 888-922-0610. Appreciate Jerry again. I mean, dude, that guy's like, you know, pretty big profile dude that lends us a good chunk of time every Thursday. And JJ, he has since. Oh, I got to show you the T-shirt I found. I found an old 1310 The Ticket T-shirt.
Man.
Remember the yellow ones? The Big Show.
Yeah,
Jeff
I
Siembieda.
lost that a long time ago.
So Addie was using it as like a smock, you know, for her painting when she was a kid, and we just went through her old stuff. I told you, and that shirt was in there. I washed it yesterday. But Jerry's been with you and me since we were doing that show in the closet. Gosh, 14 years ago? You're getting old,
Which is
bro.
absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Like, my dumb 17-year-old still in high school, but in radio for the first time, actually in this job, you're probably like, oh, who's this mess that they brought in? And guess what? It's stuck with me every day now, Monday through Friday.
Oh, man. Bob, we used to do this show. They had a little office down by the Super Salad on Central. We did, JJ and I, that's how we first got together. I was doing an afternoon show on another station. This is now Spanish radio on that frequency, AM Spanish radio. Yeah, we needed another AM Spanish radio station in this market.
Yes,
and
we
there was
did.
like an office, and in the corner there were like office partitions, like, you know, in the sales area, and that was our studio. So there was like a table with a microphone and some stuff, and but no sound booth, no sound studio, and we did that afternoon show. What was it? 4 to 6 was the Big Show, and I was on the road every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Did the show on the road. And actually, it was a lot of fun. And that's how we first came across Jerry. He had his own website. What was it? It was like collegebcs.com or something, JJ, wasn't that his website?
It was College BCS and then College RPI.
Yeah. And then he became the big dog at CBS. But yeah, that dates way back to the yellow Big Show days. And it's good. What did you think of what he said? Because he kind of agreed with me that he thinks that, you know, the schools, the non-power schools are affected, but he did allude to your point where he said there's going to be a lot of guys who are looking to go down to the mid-majors to get more playing time.
The biggest effect is absolutely going to be on
Rudy's
mid-major
on the line.
basketball. With what we're going to see happen up and down both ways, roster management, it's going to be really difficult. But I think it also is then incumbent on the coaches and the staffs to decide, all right, what is our philosophy going to be? Some teams might go all in on just that instant boom, let's hit the transfer market hard, let's get guys going, because now more so than ever you're going to have to figure out what that balance is. You're either all in on eligible right now, or you play the game of, hey, we're going to bring some guys in here, hopefully develop them along the way. If they pop, so be it. And I still think that's going to be a major key to being successful in the Mountain West, is being able to manage development and immediate impact players.
All right, Rudy, good morning. You're on the Quants Auto Care Hotline. Hello, Rudy.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
Excellent. How you doing?
Good. Well, you know, the Palmster, the Palmmeister, the Palminator. I always enjoy his comments. That man knows a lot about college athletics. So I agree with him on the NCAA. It takes them forever to do anything. If they're going to make it as an organization, they're going to have to up their ante and be a lot more proactive and a lot less reactive, and their reaction is usually at a glacial pace. So I don't know what the answer is for the NCAA, but they're kind of asleep at the wheel, and they need to wake up before this whole thing passes them by and they find themselves so irrelevant that colleges move a different direction. That's my take on that. You know, I always I had an interesting Zoom experience with Coach Patino last night. He was talking about the changes and how in recruiting, you know, it was an advantage in the old days because about after 3 visits, the kid is tired of traveling to that place and they want to make a decision. So you get maybe 3 or 4 trips and they want to make a decision. Now he says that some of these kids are doing 5 to 10 Zoom recruitment meetings a day. That's what's changed.
Be numbing. That's got to be numbing for these kids too. Hey, music's playing. Can I finish you on the other side, or I hate to do that to you? All right,
I can hold a few. Thanks.
All right, we'll hold you till the other side. It's the opening drive. Jeff, JJ, who else is there? Aaron, Robert Cat, We're all here with you today on ProView Networks at 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
And that is a brace for Rachel Morgan, the senior from St. Michael's.
Underneath her altar, tries the slam and does it. So in two. Here comes the pressure. Hasbury takes it away and sends it in.
Well, there's a top 10 play right there, I can tell you that.
The last ditch effort for the Wildcats. They are cornered right now. That ball goal! It's the long goal from Contreras! Holy cow! Luke Contreras absolutely launched that ball. Contreras. Manifold. And Kumar takes the shot, and that is it! We didn't make it an entire minute into this overtime before Oliver Kumar delivered the winning score. Look at those boys celebrate down there, dogpiling on top of number 6.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth that's real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that could happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Car Crafters is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
For your business or your home, Valley Fence stands alone. We're number 1 in New Mexico for a reason. It's the best fence you can own. Proudly serving New Mexico for over 50 years. At Valley Fence, the difference is clear. No fence too big, too small, or difficult. We handle them all at Valley Fence Company.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
This is the opening drive with 2-time New Mexico Sportscaster of the Year, Jeff Siembieda, and J.J. Buck.
All right, another hour for you of frivolity here on the opening drive. Jeff Siembieda and J.J. Buck. Hope you're watching the show over on ProView Networks on our Facebook page, The OD in the AM. Robert's Cat will take your phone calls at 505-246-0610. I let Rudy finish up. And Rudy, sorry about that. Thanks for holding through. So you had we're on a Zoom with Coach Patino yesterday.
Yeah, and the thing that really impresses me is his candor and how he's going about this new position. And I really get the feeling that for whatever reason, In Minnesota, he just did not feel the appreciation. And I think every coach wants to feel appreciated when they do a good job. And I agree with Jerry that, Jerry Palm, that job at Minnesota, I don't think is ever going to be a good job. And when you replace a sitting head coach with an assistant, that might tell you something about the whole process. So I'm really excited. And what he has done is put together a really good staff. And I think that he's being really smart about it. You go recruit California, Arizona, and Texas, and that's your base, because players can identify with this region a lot better than trying to pick a guy up from New York City. Now, maybe occasionally you'll get a guy like that, but I'm really impressed with how he's going about his business. And he said if he can get these 2 recruits, and he won't give names, he said we could be instantly better. So I'm very encouraged by how he's going about his business. My final thought, and I always put this in around draft time, and you watched it, the Brady 6. You seen that NFL special, Jeff?
I did. Yeah, I did.
6 guys taken before Tom Brady. 6 quarterbacks taken before Tom Brady. And when you listen to that whole thing, and because I'm a Michigan fan, I'm very interested in how Tom Brady did it. The thing that the NFL can never measure is a person's heart, their will, and their smarts. You can give them the Wonderlic test, but that doesn't really, translate into making decisions on the field in the heat of battle. And Tom just had that, and nobody saw that except New England. So I always have a real cynical eye towards the draft, because I think a lot of these scouts just put stuff down because it sounds good. And look at his book. The book on Tom Brady was he was never going to make it, right?
That's why he was in the 6th round.
Yeah, skinny, no arm, no physical ability, yet he has been the greatest quarterback in the history of the NFL. So
he's all right.
Take all your intangibles and figure out how those work. Anyway, guys, appreciate all the time, and thank you for letting me hold through the break.
Thanks, Rudy. So a couple things. I agree with almost everything Rudy said. I don't think these guys just throw stuff out on the draft. It's their jobs. Right, their jobs, their livelihood. The scouts are graded. The general managers are graded. Everybody wants to be the guy who found Tom Brady. I found Dak Prescott. I told you in the 3rd round we were getting a steal with Dak Prescott. Whoever that guy is, you probably listen to him more next year in your draft process. So I mean, everybody's graded. Everybody's got a report on how they did. So I don't know that I think they just throw things out, but I do think it's so insanely inexact, and what's the word I'm looking for? You just don't know. All right, but it's a crapshoot.
It's a coin flip, and I love the Tom Brady. That's a once in a lifetime thing. Like, people, it's not everyone just messing up. Like, the Patriots didn't love Tom Brady to pick him in the 2nd round. They didn't love him to pick him in the 3rd round. Like, they still picked him in the 6th round, and then Tom Brady just defied every odd that was stacked against him. And oh, by the way, an injury to Drew Bledsoe opened the door, and he came in and took over and became the greatest quarterback of all time. Like, that's a once in a lifetime thing. So that's just in its area on its own. But even with the quarterbacks in the 1st round, in the 2nd round, there's good players that flop. There are great players that end up on bad teams and bad franchises that never develop. That's why this thing is so hard when we're talking about sports, whether it's collegiately or professionally, trying to figure out, all right, how do we put this together and get on track? Because you think you're hitting a home run. We're like, oh, we got the best player. Are you kidding me? We get to draft Zach Wilson? Oh, and that ended up being a Mitch Trubisky situation in 4 years.
I know we've played this game before. There is no parallel to that. Nobody is nobody is gone from 6th round to greatest of all time, right? But where have you found, is Tony Romo the other example, like undrafted to really good? As far as quarterback, I mean, give me the guy. Mike Piazza was a 60-something round draft pick, and the Dodgers only drafted him because Tommy Lasorda was friends with his dad, and so they did him a favor, and he turned into a Hall of Fame player. To your point, once in a lifetime as far as going no one to GOAT, but for crying out loud, the story, it doesn't happen all the time. You can tell me all the time, oh yeah, you could get drafted in the 60-something round. It doesn't happen a lot, man. I mean, how many of those do you have? How many free agents have gone on to be the great NBA players? I mean, you got good role players. But where's the guy who wasn't? Because there is no 3rd round, let alone 7th round in the NBA draft. Where's that guy? Who is he?
Yeah, there's nothing like it. There's always players that become good, whether you want to run down into the Rod Smiths of the world, undrafted players kind of peak all the time, especially in the NBA, given the fact there's only 60 selections, so guys are coming from everywhere to get it done. But to like greatest of all time, to one of the best like ever in the game.
Give me all-star level. Give me all-star level. That's why I go Tony Romo, right? He was undrafted, correct?
Yes, he was.
And he became a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback and really damn good football analyst on CBS. Mike Piazza. I mean, I'm listening. You got others? I'm listening to him because, to JJ's point, it doesn't happen a lot.
Priest Holmes, Wes Welker, Antonio
Priest Holmes
Gates.
out of Azusa Pacific. Is that where Priest Holmes came from? No, that was Christian Okoye. Where did Priest Holmes come from?
Texas.
Texas. Duh. Yeah. Antonio Gates. Where
he
was
was
he
mainly
drafted?
a basketball player.
Yep. So was he drafted?
At Kent State. No.
You put Julian Edelman on that list? Huh? Have some Julian Edelman conversation because we haven't had enough of that.
Adam Vinatieri. There you go.
Oh yeah, that kicker that was nobody gave him any respect. Yeah. Bourne says, I'm not feeling it, Jeffy. Robert Cat isn't doing it for me. You need to go back to the drawing board and come up with another HR tough and stuff, grape juice, stop and go Joe, etc. He didn't like Robert Cat. All right.
Well,
do you mind Robert Cat?
I took the position a long time ago. You can call me just about anything you want, just not late for dinner.
Yeah, late for dinner is a bad thing to be called.
Yeah.
It's exactly true because then you get nothing. Then you get nothing. You can call me grape juice if you want.
No frozen lasagna for you.
That's
late.
right. You got to reheat your own damn lasagna and eat by yourself. That's fair. That's fair. All right, 505-246-0610, 888-922-0610. Your emails are coming in. Jeff at sportsanimалabq.com, JJ at sportsanimалabq.com. This is from Ken. He wants to place a collect call to beautiful El Paso, Texas this week and check in with not your Mondo, not my Mondo, but our Mondo. I've been worried about him lately since Demi Lovato announced she's batting from the whatever. So we used to have a caller, Bob, that Armando used to call him, and he lived here for a while. He came out to our events, and then he moved down to El Paso. We used to check in Armando, not my Mondo. Not your Mondo, but Armando. Richard says, how legit is JJ's Padre fandom? Jeff, assuming there are games, will JJ be at La Plaza in his San Diego gear cheering for the Chihuahuas when El Paso comes to town?
Strictly Major League Baseball.
So it doesn't go down through the organization. Okay. He's an Isotopes fan, man. He's not a Chihuahua fan. What kind of crud is that? I was watching your Rockies last night. Did you see Buddy Black get thrown out?
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't wrong, by the way. I mean, he was getting pinched by the home plate umpire. And I was watching the game with my mom on the phone at the same time, and she was watching, and she says, "Why did he just get thrown out?" And I said, "Well, he's barking about balls and strikes, and you can't question balls and strikes, but every call is going in favor of the Dodgers." I said, and the Dodgers are so much better than the Rockies. Like, the Rockies don't have a chance anyway, and now you're extending innings. Like, honestly, I'm not a big balls and strikes guy, and I'm with Drew Good. Drew, what's your guy's name? Play-by-play guy.
Drew Goodman.
It is Drew Goodman. He says he doesn't want to see robo-umps either, but he thinks we're going to. But man, oh man, were your pitchers just getting jobbed on this stuff.
Yeah, it's always rough, as you said, when you already have that margin for error, which is none when you're playing the Dodgers and you think you're making the pitches you need to get out of the inning, to give your team at least a chance in the next half inning, and it's not going your way. It wasn't until like the 7th or 8th inning they actually got a call. Givens threw a ball outside the strike zone, and when the Dodgers got rung up on it, and you're like, oh, yeah, well, I guess that's why you yell at them in the 3rd inning to eventually get that call in the 8th inning.
Yeah, 4-2, Dodgers beat the Rockies yesterday. You see the no-hitter? Second no-hitter in the last, 5 days, and almost a perfect game. It was Carlos Rondon of the White Sox. He hit a batter with one out in the ninth, and just a crazy backdoor breaking ball that hit the back. It was a right-handed batter, hit his right foot, the back foot. One of those that just kind of sweeping breaking ball. The batter didn't do anything to get out of the way, by the way. Didn't move his foot, nothing. Hit him on the foot, and so it was a hit batter. But another no-hitter. So how about this? The Padres, Joe Musgrave throws the no-hitter on Monday. Now, the Padres have been around for, since the 60s. So we're talking 50 to 60 years. The Padres have been around. The White Sox have been around over 100 years. Padres, Musgrave throws the first no-hitter in the history of that franchise. This was the 20th no-hitter in the history of the Chicago White Sox. And what a performance by Carlos Rondon yesterday.
Absolutely. And you look at Chicago, the White Sox are a team that everyone kind of had their eyes on. They got Tim Anderson back from the IL today. Mercedes has been this 28-year-old out of nowhere DH that's hitting homers like every other day for the team. This is the exciting team, that the one you're looking at, all right, who can kind of match that up and coming, the energy, say, of the Padres in the American League, and it's just Chicago White Sox. And you're starting to see it. Now you got Rondon, who is bouncing back in a big way. Lucas Giolito atop that rotation. They can definitely live up to the hype.
All right, two amazing performances in the NBA last night from teams that are on that bubble in that 7 to 10 range that I've been telling you. Yeah, I don't need to watch their teams, but you're saying, yeah, but you want to watch these dudes, don't you? Yeah, I really do. I will admit, I really want to watch these two guys play. Two amazing performances from two guys who are superstars in this league, and if you didn't see it, you should. We'll get into that when we come back. A couple of truths for you, though, before we go to break as you roll through your work week. Gentlemen, things like fatigue and low T, even hair loss, are natural as we age. Really good chance it's going to happen to you, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. But the beauty is there's something that you can do to battle nature and feel like you again. If you're experiencing things like, I don't know, you're tired all the time, carrying a few extra pounds, or even erectile dysfunction, I suggest you call NewMale. NewMale helps men all over the country. They've led the way in helping men deal with these issues for years. They've got testosterone replacement, which utilizes the latest cutting-edge technology, and men all over the country benefit from it, and they feel better. The number is 505-652-1688. That's 505-652-1688. Or visit NewMale, NUMALE.com. Fellas, NewMale's convenient. They're right here in Albuquerque, and the process is comfortable. Starts with your phone call, goes through the treatment. NewMale guides you through the process. But the best part of the whole thing is the results are absolutely real. 505-652-1688. Guys, don't put it off anymore. Take care of you. Visit NewMale.com. Or call 505-652-1688 and feel better.
DCE Systems want to help schools reopen and keep the students, teachers, and staff safe. We can also help every business reopen and keep their employees and customers safe as well. Don't just disinfect. Novalent antimicrobial technology provides ongoing residual protection against bacteria and viruses and is proven to last up to 90 days. That's right, up to 90 days. Call us today at 505-507-7722 or go to DCESystemsInc.com to learn more. DCE Systems are proud supporters of ProView Sports Network and New Mexico Youth Athletics.
A rogue virus, no jobs, sky-high tuition debt. Life is trying to put our generation on the sidelines. But we refuse to just sit back and watch it pass us by. Instead, watch us fly ahead. Watch us overcome anything. Watch us rise. Watch us change our world. Watch us become the next greatest generation.
Calling all football players, are you looking to develop your skills this season? It's never too late or too early to put in the work. Coach Carl Barrere and the Air Barrere program at 8 Grady's Performance Center provide comprehensive position training for aspiring football players at all levels. Whether you're looking to increase your speed, gain strength, or hone your skill, we train all positions with a team of experienced coaches who know what it takes to succeed at all levels from Yaffle to college. Check us out at 8gradies.com to learn more and sign up for training today.
Well, whatever day it is. Well, I don't know how beautiful it is. Your spring weather is very spring-like here in the Burke. Jeff Siembieda and JJ Buck, 505-246-0610. All right, the NBA was popping last night. Let me give you just two pieces. I happened just to, for whatever reason, watch the end of a game I would probably have never watched. It was the 7th seed Dallas Mavericks and Memphis. And I think the reason I just went over to catch Sports Center, and there's a minute and a half left, so I watched the end of the game and watched Dallas come back. And then Grayson Allen, the former Duke star, who's playing for Memphis, gets fouled. He's at the free throw line, 91% free throw shooter. It's a what was it? It was a 2-point game, 113, 111 game. Makes one free throw, they're up by 3. Makes them both, which you figure he's going to. He's a 91% NBA guy, and it's good night now. Well, he misses them both. Timeout, and of course, in the NBA, you advance it to the front court. And Jeff Van Gundy's on the game. Well, what do you do here? Do you get it to your best player? Really? You think you get it to your best player? Yes, you get it to your best player. Luka Doncic, they run some weird I don't even know what they ran. It just kind of, he came to the ball, and Luka got the ball and looked like he tripped. I showed it to Adish. She's like, did he trip, Dad? He's off of 1 foot, tripped, leaning in from the three-point line, off balance, one-handed flip. The ball leaves his hand with about 1/10 to maybe 2/10 of a second left on the clock. And he walks it in as it's in the air because his momentum carried him in, and splash. Good night now, 114-113 win on the road. And the Mavericks get it. And there's Mark Cuban out there on the court hugging dudes. And was it 2? Was it 1? Because I guess initially they called it a 2. And they went back and looked at it, and the right call was a 3, and they got it off. It was terrific what Luka Legend was able to do last night, and great players make great plays, and that's your guy. We're getting to that time of the season. The other one is Steph, and what Steph Curry is doing. I know we had a conversation about him yesterday. Steph Curry is insane, and I don't know where you all put him, and we're not going to have the conversation of I'm not even going to entertain, is he not the best shooter ever, because he is. Like I'll tell you all the time, Aaron. I don't know how much you watch NBA. Are you of the ilk? I don't know how you cannot be. You're a Capitals guy. You're a hockey guy, and I'm down with that. You won a cup a couple years ago. I should go put on my old Kings hat then, purple and gold. I'm living in the past too. But Steph went for 42 last night. The Warriors beat Oklahoma City 147-107. So Steph really didn't even play the fourth quarter. He went to go back on the floor, and Steve Kerr kind of took him and pushed him back into it. Didn't push him literally, but guided him, shall we say, back into his chair. But over this is one of the hottest stretches for Stephen Curry in his incredible 12-year career. He had another stupid night last night, and now he's talking about breaking all of the one game. He wants what is it? He wants to hit 14 threes in one game. And he felt like he had it in him. He could have done it last night if they would have played him in the fourth quarter, but the game was a 40-point game. Curry's numbers are ridiculous. He scored 30 more points in 8 straight games. It's the longest stretch in his career. He had 11 three-pointers yesterday. 11. He had 10 on Monday. Second time in his career he had back-to-back games with 10 or more threes. He scored 53 on Monday, 42 yesterday. JJ, would you put it? You can't, right? With all the talk of load management, and I guess because the guy whose record he would have break is yours. So Klay Thompson's your guy. But would you let him go in there and try to break the record for three-pointers in a game? Or they had to sit him out, right? It was the right thing to do.
Well, especially given the fact they just saw what happened a couple of days earlier to someone they were playing. Jamal Murray, the fact that Klay Thompson isn't with this team this season, it was the right thing to do at that point in time. Is the record's there, chasing it might have been tough, but it also didn't look like Steph was all that upset. Like there was a moment he kind of got up and started walking towards the court, and then Steve Kerr was like, "No, sit down." He's like, "All right, whatever." I'm sure Steph was fine. He's like, "Yeah, I'll take the fourth quarter of this game off. No problem."
Yeah, all of that's absolutely right. Curry scored 30 or more points 25 times this season. I mean, his name was in a sentence with Wilt Chamberlain the other day because on Monday he passed Wilt Chamberlain as the all-time leading scorer in the history of that franchise. And we glanced over it like it was, okay, Wilt Chamberlain. To me, Wilt Chamberlain is the most underappreciated great in the history of this game. And somebody tried to tell me the other day, it's my brother-in-law. Well, yeah, man, because there was look at guys, they were all smaller. Okay, so, I mean, LeBron's like this physical specimen that can do things that nobody else can do, but you give him a pass. I mean, yeah, Wilt was better physically than everybody else. He was unbelievable in a time where nobody else was doing it. Like, why do we pass over Wilt is when we talk about the all-time greats? And then you look at his numbers and you're just going, but they can't. It's almost like they're cartoonish. Like we don't believe his numbers.
I think a lot of it is just who actually saw him play. And you do get to a certain time where we talk about history. Heck, we just had Dave Parker on. I didn't see him play,
right.
But you learn about him and kind of his impact in the game. And with Wilt Chamberlain, I don't know if there's enough people that want to have that conversation because we weren't talking necessarily about it, but you brought up LeBron James, right? Like that's the name that gets thrown in a conversation. Michael Jordan. I just don't know where people want to go with Wilt. I don't know if there's enough people that have the experience of seeing him and understanding it to throw his name in those conversations just because it's what happens over time.
There's times where I wish whoever carved those faces into a South Dakota mountain would have put 6 presidents on there because then we could have these conversations and your Mount Rushmore could be 6 people. I get it. It's Michael and it's LeBron and it's whoever you want it to be after that, right? Kobe or Kareem or Russell or what? Okay. If you ever take a minute and I tire so quickly at this point of the GOAT conversation in basketball. I do. But if there's one thing that somewhat irks me, it is the absolute omission in all these conversations of Wilt. And just go look at his numbers and stop it with who did he play against? He played against the best in the world at the time, and he was way better than them. Like if Wilt Chamberlain was playing in the modern game, you don't think he wouldn't be scoring hundreds. He wouldn't be, but you don't think he'd be great? Like it's silly. But I want to go back to my point on Steph. Another one last night. Steve Kerr said, quote, "It seems like every night, even when I say nothing surprises me, I'm still in awe of the shot making. It's just incredible, the level of confidence and skill. It's just stunning. It's beautiful to watch. It's a man at the peak of his powers with a lifetime of training and work, and not just on his body, but on his mind. It's the guy who is functioning at a level that very few human beings ever function in their particular field. It's just beautiful to watch." I think it's perfect. JJ, again, I'm going to go, and I know I went off on Steph yesterday, and I'm going to go off on him again today. I don't know if he's the MVP because it's a team that's 7th in their conference, but then who is this year? It's such a weird year. Guys missing time because of injuries, and it's a COVID-affected season. He has got to be in the MVP conversation, doesn't he?
He is in the back end of the conversation, and
Why the back
it's always.
end?
I think it's because right now I think people are just kind of focused on the winning teams. But if you look at the NBA, they've bucked that trend. Like Russell Westbrook won MVP, and it's not like the Thunder were great that year. So I think he is emerging in the conversation, climbing that ladder. I think I'd vote for him over Chris Paul, and we've talked about the impact that Chris Paul has had on the Suns this year. So I think he's, with Giannis missing the time that he's missed, I think Jokic and Embiid are going to be right there, and then Steph Curry is going to push those guys. This is the way he's playing at this level. And by the way, what happened this week should actually only emphasize how crazy Wilt Chamberlain is, because he 6 seasons with the Warriors, Philadelphia Warriors, and then they moved to, of course, San Francisco and became the Golden State Warriors. So that was 429 games that he set the all-time scoring record in. It took Steph 746 games with the three-pointer to pass him.
So that's what, 200 and what more? What was it? Give me the numbers again.
So Steph, well, this is, of course, with last night's game. So let's say
right.
745 games
and
for
Wilt?
Steph Curry. Wilt was 429.
So that's 15 minus 9 is 6, 1. That's 316 games less. and again, it doesn't minimize what Steph did, but to your point, it amplifies what Wilt did. And so he's the leading scorer in the history of that franchise in 6 seasons. And look, Rick Barry was great with that franchise. Rick Barry was an unbelievable player. Nate Thurman was terrific with them. They've had great players over the years. But your point on what Wilt Chamberlain did, this is, I don't know. Anytime I'm just going to go there. It's going to be my go-to, and you're going to get tired of it for however long we work. But it's going to Wilt from now on. I mean, you can tell me Michael, and you can tell me LeBron, and okay, I'm listening. But after that, I mean, how Wilt's not in that conversation, and how he's not in the conversation with those two. Well, they did different things. Okay, Wilt dominated down low. You're right. He didn't have the benefit of the three-point shot. But what that man did was so out. What would you say? 20 years ahead of his time?
I don't even know if there was a time when you look at it for Wilt Chamberlain. The dude averaged 50 points per game in one season. There's
never been a time for that. There's never been a time for that. Nobody's
50.
done that. How would he have done against Kareem? Well, we played against Kareem, so that's not. How would he have done against the Akeems, the Shaquilles, the great centers of the relatively modern era? And I'm going to tell you the answer is he would have done really, 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 really well. By the way, supposedly he was an all-star off the court as well. Just ask him. 505-246-0610 is the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Calling all football.
Jackson Compaction wants to help you keep your green and keep the community green as well. Jackson Compaction has worked hard to maintain the same prices since day one. Always easy and painless trash removal with professional crews and quality service. If it's non-hazardous waste, debris, or trash on your land, leave it to us. At Jackson Compaction, we're dedicated to ensuring the conservation of our environment. You trash it, we smash it. Jackson Compaction, we've earned a reputation for great results.
Hi, I'm Staff Sergeant Hayes. I'm with the New Mexico Army National Guard, and I'm from Tucson, Arizona.
Hi, I'm Staff Sergeant Greg Martinez. I'm with the New Mexico Army National Guard, and I'm from Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Hi, I'm Marilena Fernandez. I'm with the New Mexico Army National Guard, and I'm from Santa Fe, New Mexico.
The New Mexico Army National Guard is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school athletics.
Next in line.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
At New Mexico Highlands University, you're more than a student, you're family. Whether you're taking courses in Las Vegas, Santa Fe, Rio Rancho, Albuquerque, or Farmington, you'll get that one-on-one attention to inspire you to reach your goals. Let New Mexico Highlands help take your passion and accelerate it into a career and fulfilling life path. Find out why New Mexico Highlands is the right choice for you. Log on to NewMexicoHighlands.com today.
TurboThreads is a proud sponsor of ProView Networks.
Almost 30 years of experience means fast service, great prices, and a wide selection of apparel from t-shirts to performance sports shirts, even jackets and hats. They feature low minimums and no setup charges on most orders. TurboThreads is located at 1503 Golf Course Road in Rio Rancho, or find them on Facebook, online at turbothreads.com, or call 999-1234 for TurboThreads.
Plan your adventure at WNMU.edu.
Here at Legacy, we are here to disciple people by helping them connect with God, grow in relationships, and live generously.
All right, one line's open all of a sudden at 505-246-0610. Let's go to it. Jeffrey, good morning. You want to talk about Wilt the Stilt. What's up, Jeffrey?
Oh, absolutely. I've always had a particular sensibility and fascination for Wilt. You know, a lot of folks forgot that he played at a time when you didn't have a lot of footage of, the 76ers, because Boston was just overwhelmingly and appreciably better than any other team in the league by, what would they win, 11 championships or something like that in like 15 years.
Right. Yeah.
He did win in 67. But a lot of folks also forget regarding Wilt that he was a tremendous athlete. He ran a 100-yard dash and beat everybody. And I believe his senior year at Kansas, pole vaulted beyond, I think it was beyond 10 feet, bench pressed more than 475. He was so dominant, and he never fouled out of a game. And if you talk to folks that played with him, not just pundits and people that opine, but people like Barry, Walt Frazier, Willis Reed, they tell stories of just how overwhelmingly dominant the guy was. And I think Bob Costas, I'm not a Costas guy, but I'll tell you, he summed it up quite succinctly when he said, Wilt Chamberlain isn't given the due that is provided him in the pantheon of greatness. And in my view, he's either the first or second greatest player of all time, because Acosta said, nobody roots for Goliath. And I thought that was such an appropriate, succinct way of putting it, because he was so dominant that, particularly in the early 60s, that he was resented. Because I've read several bios about the guy beyond all of his other claims to fame when it comes to female dominance. We won't talk about that, but just in terms of racism and his sheer dominance, he was resented because he was so much better than everyone else. Kind of like, to a lesser degree, because it's not politically correct, Serena Williams was so much better than everyone else at her height of power. There was, on the tennis circuit, because I know something about the tennis circuit, there was a certain resentment toward her. A different era, different time, political correctness different, but with Wilt, absolute greatness at every level. 50 points a game, 100 points a game, no footage on that game, 1962, I think.
That's crazy.
And that's the other problem, not enough footage about the guy. And to your point, and I'll be brief, Steph Curry, greatest shooter of all time, but right there with him, very close, is Maravich. But once again, not enough footage about the guy because he played in also ran nondescript team called the New Orleans, whatever they were, the
Jazz.
New Orleans, whatever the hell they're called.
Jazz,
anyway, Wilt, second or first greatest player of all time. No one roots for Goliath.
No, thanks,
you, Jeffrey.
He's right. Nobody roots for. He's right. Nobody roots for the Goliath. Nobody, unless you're a Goliath fan. Nobody roots for the Yankees or the Goliath. I didn't know he never fouled out. Now, I pole vaulted more than 10 feet too, so I don't know that that's a great feat. But I guess if you're 7 feet tall, that's probably something.
It's impressive.
Yeah,
Just showcasing that all-around athleticism.
It is. Sean, good morning. You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Hello, Sean.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
I just wanted to I just wanted to jump in about the Jan's contract extension. I was not expecting an extension to come out of it. I was expecting maybe a little more cash thrown his way. From a fan standpoint, it's an interesting spot to be in because you have the guy that interviewed with, a heated rival, maybe at least for me, not as bitter of a rival as UNM, you would say. But it's a tough spot. He's kind of put everybody in a rough spot because you get the job, the fans hate you. You don't get the job, you got to come crawling back and be like, hey, things are great. Love Las Cruces. Chico's Tacos is overrated anyway. That kind of thing. My true frustration, though, is with the administration at NMSU. This is the second coach you've had in a row that's been courted by your rivals. I'd rather not be a AAA, feeder program for rival coaches. So, I really feel for Mario because this poor guy has to go back to the well every time with boosters to try and get this guy some more money. When the Board of Regents at NMSU is creating new admin positions for $400K plus, this happened last time. A former Board of Regents member was like, you have a $600 million budget and you can't find a couple $100,000 to keep a winning coach around, but you can get rid of a chancellor / president and then replace them with two people for triple the salary. It's extremely frustrating. The last thing I'll say on it, though, is I don't know who Jan's agent is, but I think I need to hire him for any contract negotiation because looking at the buyout clause in there, it's only $100,000
That's what I was saying
after
earlier.
this upcoming season, which is still 145. That's pennies for a Power 5. Power 5s find that in their couch cushions. They find it in their dryer at the end of the day. So I guess kudos to his agent, and the best thing Jans can do now is just win a bunch of games and win back the favor of Aggie fan for flirting with the lady down the street, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. Thank you, Sean. I thought the buyout of everything that came out of that, JJ, what kind of jumped out to me was that the buyout is you're giving more years, more money, and the buyout, $50,000. If he would in this situation, $50,000 to go to UTEP, $100,000 to go to Texas Tech.
Right. That was more. Weir's buyout was bigger than that when he jumped to New Mexico.
He's still owing him money on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Lobos are still paying off that to New Mexico State. So that is definitely one that I'm with. Kind of caught me by surprise. You'd figure maybe you'd bump up that figure a little bit more, especially if it's a Power 5 team that comes calling.
All right, I need to get you this, and then we'll go to the phones when we get back from the break. But this came in, and it's on subject. So before we get off subject again, I want to finish this out. Dave sent me this note on Aggie fans. He said, Jeff, you ask who should Aggie fan be mad at when one of their coaches is approached about leaving for another job at a rival school? How can they be upset at the coaches for wanting a higher paying job at a better conference? Any one of them would do the same. If anything, they should be frustrated with their own lack of support for their athletic programs and the fact that they suffer because virtually no one supports their football program and really the basketball program. Empty stadiums and near empty arenas don't bring in revenue, nor do alumni who live in Albuquerque and don't offer the type of support for the athletic programs, other than talking smack about UNM on morning talk radio. It's from Dave. So he's saying, and I think Dave's an Aggie fan, but he's saying you can't be mad at Jans. Now, I'm not sure most Aggie fans all Aggie fans are going to sit there and buy that. But he's saying, be mad at the people who sit there and say, I support the program, but don't support the program. Who's helping here? Who's out there helping Mario? And is he going back to the same people? Look, I saw Sherry Jones mentioned in his in Chris Jans' statement yesterday. I know Sherry really well, and she does everything she can to drum up support in that community. But at some point, it's got to be the basic Aggie alum who's saying, all right, I'm giving you $50, $100, $300, whatever it is I can afford to go towards it. And I know that sounds like nothing, but in an alumni base that doesn't have those big multi-million-dollar guys coming out of their ears, where's it coming from? And so what he's saying is, people are mad. Well, are you doing your part?
Yeah, that's always the challenge of collegiate athletics is you're asking for donations on top of, oh, by the way, can you buy season tickets and attend all these other games? And what you bring up, too, with Las Cruces is you've said it multiple times, Jeff, the amount of Aggie alumni that are in Bernalillo County, that are up in Albuquerque or make their way to Santa Fe for certain things. So then it's challenging that you maybe aren't able to get as many people as you'd like in those situations. You have the support, but they might not necessarily always be right there to help you.
All right, we got to take this last break. We'll come back. I got two legends. Are they legends? I don't know. Well, one of them's a legend. Howard certainly is a legend. The other guy calls a lot. He'd consider himself a legend. And I think he decides who the legends are. So that's coming up. Stay with us here, and you can get in at 246-0610.
Make yourself legendary and take control of your fitness. What if I told you you can find all you need? Strength training, cardio work all in one place. And oh yeah, it only costs you 45 minutes. F45 Training is a gym that brings it all together with high-intensity group workouts that are fast, fun, and results-driven. Check them out at f45training.com. Download the F45 app to see the schedule of classes. You can sign up for your 7-day free trial and get going. With classes 7 days a week, you'll find one that works for you. F45 has helped me take my fitness health seriously once again. After taking a red shirt year, I needed to better myself. The atmosphere is great, and the workouts are a new challenge every day to keep your mind and body moving forward. Certified trainers to help motivate and create a gym experience that will keep you coming back. Don't wait any longer. Create your own gym identity at F45. Team training, life-changing. I'll see you at F45.
Here at Legacy, we are here to disciple people by helping them connect with God, grow in relationships, and live generously.
Datacom is the manufacturer's representative for the states of Arizona and New Mexico. Datacom represents Fuji Electric for uninterruptible power systems and Layer 0 for static switches and power distribution units. High-Tech Power Protection manufactures dynamic rotary UPS systems up to 3.6 megawatts individual and 100 megawatts by combining multiple units. Call Louis Ruffin today at 505-507-7722 or go to datacom.com to learn more.
Played, top of the 18. Morgan's there, one-on-one with the keeper, and that opens the scoring. Rachel Morgan, the senior, finds the back of the net, and it's 1-0 St. Mike's.
Oliveras for three, yes.
Well, I like that young man.
Good transition opportunity for the Bulldogs. Deep three's up, and it's good by number 11, Annika Reed.
Rowe gets it, boots it forward. Myers is there, she's able to head it, and she controls. Dugan's there, she's at the center, gets across, shoots, and scores! Hello! What can you say there? Hello! And that is Alexa Duggan, who goes across the body.
There. Gonzalez going to get all the way to the basket here off the window with the extra kiss, and it's good for Gonzalez.
To the top of the 18, Morgan. Nice turn. Morgan, left-footed shot. Morgan! 3-0. And that is a brace for Rachel Morgan, the senior from St. Michael's.
Underneath for Alter, tries the slam and does it.
So in two.
Here comes the pressure. Hasbury takes it away and sends it in.
Well, there's a top 10 play right there, I can tell you that.
The last-ditch effort for the Wildcats. They are cornered right now. That ball goal! It's the long goal from Contreras! Holy cow! Luke Contreras absolutely launched that ball. And Kumar takes the shot, and that is it. We didn't make it an entire minute into this overtime before Oliver Kumar delivered the winning score. Look at those boys celebrate down there, dogpiling on top of number 6.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can
He
happen?
sent me a note on the transfer portal. He said, Jefferson, if the OD steals Bobcat, I think Strauss should go after JJ since everyone now gets 1 free transfer without having to sit out a year. I mean, that JJ wants to go there. I mean, you know, sometimes guys are going to do their 4 years and have senior.
Well, there's 2 ways to look at that. One, that's a shot at me telling me to, just shut up and go away, because that would be definitely a step back in playing time for myself.
You probably wouldn't get into a lot of words edgewise on that show.
Hey guys, should I
Yeah.
be thinking about getting an agent?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And dealing with Jared on
100%.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm out of that game, though. Yeah, I'm out of that. Edward, good morning. You got an agent? What's your agent telling you? You need a raise? Good morning, Edward.
The agent just calls me and says, you know what, everything's great. I'm cutting my commission. And, in fact, he's paying me. So, hey, I thoroughly enjoyed the interview earlier with the great Pittsburgh Pirate, Claire.
How about that?
And I remember the 78. It was 78, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
Or 79.
79,
And
we are family.
Sister Sledge, baby. Yeah. And the Steelers were winning Super Bowls. I don't know what the Penguins were doing back then, but they considered Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the city of champions. Remember that mantra?
Yeah, that's right, because the Steelers were winning, the Pirates were winning. Yep, no doubt.
It was a great time, great era. So thank you for sharing that with us today. Hey, I'm going to have a remedial take. Steph Curry, who is the greatest shooter, undoubtedly, in the history of the league. I remember watching an interview with Glenn Rice, who was phenomenal out of the University of Michigan, and he said, I'm trying to perfect the jumper. I think that Steph Curry has mastered muscle memory from every location on the floor, and it's tremendous. And I've said this before. I know people are fascinated with Kobe's 81-point game, which he probably shot 60 times, which was a great game. I think that if you let Steph Curry shoot 40 to 50 times a game, or at least once or twice, he would break 90 points, if not 100. There's no doubt in my mind. Like last night, after hitting 10 or 11 threes, if he jacked up another 20 threes, he would challenge the 90 to 100-point range. There's no doubt in my mind. The pantheon of NBA players, I agree, Wilt oftenly gets omitted. I have a top 4, but I always throw in a 5th. And you're right, Jeff. Had they made What is that? The
Mount
the
Rushmore.
place in South Dakota.
Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore, yes. I think it's Jordan and Kareem, who's also, they changed the rules of the game for Kareem where you couldn't dunk. And I think he won 2 or 3 NCAA championships and 6 titles. And then, of course, Jordan, Kareem, LeBron. I put Wilt, and I always throw Magic in there as well as my top 5. And I know that's up for debate and discussion. But, yeah, it's fascinating. It's such great show content. But I do miss Armando, and I got to reach out to my boy Lancifer. I'm worried about him.
Yeah,
and maybe I can provide an update. But hopefully he's listening. But I'll reach out to him to make sure he's okay because just as Sister Sledge sang 40-some years ago, we are indeed family. Thanks for letting me share a few thoughts, and you guys have a great day.
See you. All right. Next, I don't know if your boss knows you're on, but he was just on, so it must be okay. Hello, Howie.
Yeah, well, my morning coffee break has extended a little bit. I hope I don't get written up. I am going to suggest a work project to him, though. Being the humanitarian that my boss is, I was going to suggest that we initiate a milk carton, a picture on the side of a milk carton for Lance, see if we can locate him. I know he's been MIA for a while, right?
Yeah, I haven't heard from him in a while.
I sure do miss Armando's calls, too. I remember I started listening to it back in those days when the Big Donalds and the Armandos were around, and I loved the calls, and all this show has done is achieve greatness throughout the years. And, I miss some of those guys, and God rest his soul, Big Donald, but, we have a plethora of really good callers, and I'm going to jump in over to the NBA thing. You know what? I'm thinking about my childhood, and I'm thinking about, they claim that some of the teams today have super teams. Well, let's think about the New York Knicks back when they had Willis Reed, Bill Bradley, Dave DeBusschere, Walt Frazier, and also Dick Barnett. That was a pretty stellar lineup, wouldn't you say?
Dave DeBusschere was on that team?
Yep, he sure was. And then you swing over to the Lakers, it was Elgin Baylor, Gail Goodrich, Jerry West, Jamal Wilkes, and I can't remember the fifth in that lineup, but pretty sure Dave DeBusschere was in the same lineup because Phil Jackson was actually coming off the bench.
Yeah, Bill Bradley and Walt Frazier, Bill Bradley, Walt Frazier, Dave DeBusschere, Willis Reed, and
wasn't Dick Barnett the other guard?
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, it might be. Yeah, might be.
Yep. And then I swing over to baseball, and I think about all the locals here that I grew up getting to see. Bill Russell and Ron Say and all the local Dodgers. And I remember Willie Stargell, Roberto Clemente. We grow up in a time of very stellar athletes. I think what's happened to the game today is social media is taking over any given week with the avenues we have for television. I mean, I can watch 8 or 10 NBA games a week on any given day. I can catch a game. Games were like once a week back then.
Yeah, you watched the game of the week on Saturday with Kurt Gowdy, and you got your Twib notes that remember this week in baseball with Mel Allen. That's how you found out what would happen all week, and now you get it on your phone within 10 minutes.
Yep, and the guys were getting acrobatic back in our day, with the dunks and what have you. Now guys are pulling up from 40 and just wowing us to death. The game certainly has evolved, and there are super teams out there. I think Brooklyn, just suffered a loss there, didn't they? I think when Marcus Aldridge just retired.
Just saw that. Yeah, within the last half hour.
Yeah. So I don't know, I just really, I'm out on Brooklyn because I think Kyrie's such a wild card. The team that really disappointed me that took a blow was the Nuggets with Jamal Murray. I expected big things from the Nuggets this year, and that was kind of a sad blow. But anyway, Hey guys, thanks for taking my call this morning. Let's see if we can get Lance on the milk carton.
See you. Let's get one more in before we go. Terry, good morning. Thanks for holding. Hello, Terry.
Good morning, gentlemen. Before I talk about Wilt, it was Earl the Pearl Monroe was the other Nick.
That's what it was. Thank you.
Played guard for him.
Exactly right.
But, and then the part about Wilt was he left after his junior year at KU. They lost in triple overtime to North Carolina. The greatest player he said he ever played with was Meadowlark Lemon because after his junior year he couldn't go to the NBA, so he went and played a year with the Harlem Globetrotters.
Yep.
And so, they changed the lane because of him, and I think the respect factor becomes they only won 2 championships, one with the Sixers, one with the Lakers. And when he's with the Lakers, they won 33 regular season games in a row. But if you look
They
back
couldn't
to
beat the
Jabbar,
Celtics.
Jabbar only won one with Milwaukee before he became a Laker, and maybe if there'd been free agency, things would have been different. But he was pretty amazing in his day. So you guys have a great day. I know it's the end of the show, and we'll talk to you later.
Terry.
Take care.
That's good stuff today, man. How about all the Wilt stuff today? I would tell you I didn't mean to do it, but I did. I did. The Wilt talk is long overdue, man. And his name came up, and it was like just in passing the day. Oh, yeah, Steph passed Wilt Chamberlain like it was some dude.
Yeah, it's definitely more than just some dude. Outrageous numbers. Then you take into account things that he did, and Terry's sitting there letting you know, like, oh, he had to go play with the Harlem Globetrotters for a year because of collegiate rules and becoming professional at that time, and then changing the lane. Anytime a game is changed because of you have to be up on top of the list of most impactful athletes.
No doubt. Yep. Oh, that's right. All right. Today was fun, dude. It usually is, but today was really good. The Dave Parker stuff brought back a lot of memories, and then the Wilt stuff. So you get NBA tonight, and we'll continue. I'm working on a few things for tomorrow as well that will get you into your weekend. You've got you're gonna have the big soccer match to look forward to this weekend. It's in New Mexico and San Diego State playing for the conference championship, and the
it's a Mountain West Conference final. Because,
but they're playing for the championship, right?
Yes,
I mean,
but the Mountain West said you can't use the word championship.
All right, so
out in one.
Is the winner the champion? Are they going to give the trophy that says championship when it's done?
Everyone except the Mountain West knows what this is, but they want to play some stupid game about it.
So even if they don't call it a championship game, but they're playing for the championship, right?
You get championship hats. You get championship T-shirts. You get a championship trophy for the conference. But that's Mountain West Conference final.
Thanks to two-time champion Dave Parker for being with us today.
30.
Harry Palm as well. Jim Rome Show is next. Colin Cowherd after that. Trulio and Carlisle at 4 with the sports bar. Aaron, Bob, great work today. JJ, go call the league, man. Go Buddy Black on them and see if they throw you out of the game.
Have a day.
Be good to each other, please. We'll be back tomorrow morning starting at 7 a.m. Be kind, loving, caring, and sharing. Smell you tomorrow.